driving the boat, sir. Hold on. Cow.
You are the captain now.
The wind was 45 miles per hour in a tsunami.
Uphill both ways.
How do your balls fit in your pants, sir?
I'm out. I want nothing to do with this.
We up.
Hey guys, before this amazing episode starts, we have one quick update. One quick one. You might have missed it from last week, but to start this year off strong, we're doing one last live show to end our tour. Where at? Vegas, baby. Nick, what are them details?
We're going to be hosting Unsub Live at the Venetian Theater on January 20th in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm going to be fucking hammered. It's going to be great. If you want to join me, there's going to be links down below where you can go buy tickets right now.
God, he's beautiful. Stolen Valor Tour, we're doing one last show. That's right. Come out, have fun, have some drinks, and come hang out with so many freaking people. There is so many content creators that are going to be there. It is going to be a blast, lots of laughs, and we can't wait to meet all of y'all. Thank y'all so freaking much for how big these live shows have gotten. In 1 year, y'all made it possible to sell out a 1,200 seat venue. Being in front of y'all and hearing the cheering, the laughter, the stomping is one of the greatest experiences any of us have had. So thank you so much. Now back to an awesome episode.
We're going to figure out why Eli always has me on podcasts with fucking pipe hitters.
Retired.
I love it because I love it. It is, I'm like, holy shit, we get dope ass stories.
Some pipe layers, maybe.
Yeah.
And especially after yesterday. Oh, fuck. We'll start it off right. Ready?
Oh,
everyone
here we
get that? Put it by the mic.
Oh.
I got it.
3, 2, 1.
Sounds like freedom. White Claw. Oh my God.
Not your thing?
I just turned into my Uggs pop in real quick.
What flavor you got there? Tangerine?
Pumpkin spice something.
Yeah, it's like you're drinking TV static while someone yells about a tangerine in the next room. That's what they
let's
taste like.
hide the bourbon behind this white girl shit.
Nick, start it.
Fuck, Cody's not here.
I know.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unsubscribed Podcast. I'm joined here today by my co-host, Mr. Eli Doubletap, our new friend, Terry, and Ethan, Mr. Habitual Linecrosser, and I am Nick, obviously.
The Fat Electrician. You look gorgeous. We're on podcast number 2 for Range Day. We're just backlogging these bitches.
It's fine.
We left a bar of 300 people. We tried to, literally, we did one round to the bathroom and left, and it took...
In that time, I managed to drink a beer. So like, I didn't even get to the bathroom. I was like, I'm not making it.
Yeah,
Nope.
just send it.
Yeah.
You're good.
You guys did the right thing. I just like...
We just chilled
Terry,
there,
Kevin,
no.
they're just like, we're going to stay here and drink.
So I can stay here and drink bourbon, or I can go hang out with a whole bunch of 300 people in a fucking room. No,
That's your nightmare.
I'll do this.
Terry, dude, everyone knows Habitual. Everyone knows how everyone knows me. This is Terry.
Yes. Nobody knows me, which is nice.
Oh, this is well. That's dude. You ever? Again, as he was saying, it's because why are you putting on like Tyler yourself? It's all these like the first tier 1 individuals, and you guys are so fucking humble about it, which is my favorite part. But then also some of the funnest humans I've ever met.
we don't really give a anymore, so it's fun to hang out.
Oh, I'm so stoked for this one. This is
like my rule in life is like I've got limited numbers of fucks, so I spend them wisely.
Tell what you were.
Yeah, so background, grew up in Indiana, spent
Where?
Up by South Bend, a little town called Plymouth. So grew up swimming. That's what led me to the Navy, vice the Army or anything else. I thought I could be like a scuba diver, something cool, and then they tricked me into signing up for this jumping out of airplanes and blowing shit up, and no idea what buds or any of that stuff was.
What year is this?
So I signed up in 91 and joined in January 92.
Yeah, so like
pre Al Gore.
I was 7, and I don't know if they
Global
existed
warming
yet.
wasn't a fucking thing yet. Like,
WWII and all that stuff, yeah.
They didn't exist yet. You
No,
might
91,
have.
I was 1.
Okay.
Nick
I
was.
was -3.
I was 7.
I am old, yes.
No, I just like...
That's all right, I got Kevin. Kevin's my peer group.
No, but I mean, so what was it like? Because I mean, everybody always forgets because like everybody knows Navy SEALs and Tier 1 and military is so much popular now. But like when you were a kid and you were like gonna join the military, nobody knew what the fucking Navy SEAL was or what an Army Ranger was or any of that. So like, how did you get to the point where you're like, yeah, I'll do that? Did you even know what you were signing up for?
No, it's simple because I went in. I was telling I think Mitch last night. I was like, I went in to learn how to scuba dive. I grew up swimming. I wanted to be in the water. I was thankfully mature enough to know that college was not in my near future.
Good for you.
To be worthwhile. So I'm like, hey, stay here and do nothing and hang out with the college or high school girls or join the Navy. So I went in and talked to him, and he's like, oh, what do you like to do? Hunt and fish and shoot guns and stuff. And he's like, oh, there's a poster. Like, look at that thing. He's like, skydiving. I'm like, never been skydiving. I'm fucking 18 or whatever it was. What about blowing shit? I'm like, sign me up. What is it? So he's like, oh, SEALs. Here's the thing. Sign a contract. No clue what buds. He didn't tell me anything about it. It was in the brochure. Like, yeah, get a little pamphlet. Like, buds. 64 weeks or whatever the fuck it was. No idea, like, attrition rate or getting your ass beat, which was good because growing up in that farming community, I knew how to work hard. So when I got to California, it was like, hey, just go do this, go do this. And by the time I realized how much it sucked, we're like halfway through. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Let's do this shit.
Farm kids.
Yeah, we're strong and dumb. Yeah.
Dad, look at this vacation they're sending me on.
Yeah, I'm living on the beach.
Scuba dive?
Yeah.
It's in California, by the way.
Yeah, I'm living on the beach. It's awesome.
I was born in California, and I moved out to Iowa when I was like 11, 12.
Why'd you do that?
Huh?
That's like the reverse of being cool.
No, it's way better. Iowa's so much better than
these
California.
days for sure. Fuck, yeah.
But like the thing, you move out to the Midwest coming from California, and you run into these farm kids that just go out there and wrestle. It's like, you guys aren't geared like everybody else in this fucking country.
No.
Jesus Christ.
Those farm boys are terrifying.
12-year-old kids that are tougher than most of the men in California. It's insane.
You're like slinging hay bales and picking up rocks out of a field. And
I did like
that's just
2
how you
weeks
live.
moving square bales. Fuck that. They're built different. No.
Sergeant Shooty, the only dude in ground combatus, whatever they call it, in the I did BJJ up to that time. Yeah. So there was one of the few kids when they put me in whatever level 1 was. I tapped out on the instructor, and the instructor was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Dog, I've been fighting since I was 10 years old." Shooty was the only motherfucker I watched an instructor like go to pull an arm guard, and Shooty goes. 280 pounds of just nothing but muscle, and all he did was live on a farm in his entire life.
Yeah,
you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
So like how halfway through you realized it sucked. At which point did you realize, like, because I'm assuming you got shipped off to basic and you didn't even realize that you were doing something that was like elite or above average hardness level?
No, you're just like I went in, joined in January 92 for boot camp, and go to boot camp. It's like 1 or 2 other guys are in the die fair program or their EOD program, whatever it is. So we would go do our workouts with the little SEALs that are on base. You go run and do push-ups and that kind of stuff, but it's you kind of a little break from your boot camp stuff. Yeah, but you still don't really know what you're signed up for. Go to A school, same kind of thing, work out with a couple guys that are in the program. Then you show up to California, you're like, oh, fuck, what's this? This is cool. Yeah, and then by the time the water starts getting really cold and the sand starts really rubbing your vagina quite a bit, you're like, fuck. But then you're like halfway through and you already made friends at this point. So you don't want to quit and let your friends down. And it's kind of fun. I mean, it's hard, but it's easy in the fact that...
Oh, you're good. Yeah. Okay, it turns it up.
Just when you're worried, put your whole mouth on it.
Yeah. Anyway, but it's or what we call it. It's like simple but not easy, because it's like every single day, like, hey, we're going to do this today. You're going to run 4 miles. We're going to feed you at this time. Like, you didn't have to think until you got through Hell Week, which at the end of the day is kind of fun when it sucks really bad, and then you get afterwards. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, then you start learning stuff. Like, okay, we got you to the point where we know you're not going to give up when things get hard. Now we can start teaching you. Like, teach you how to scuba dive, teach you how to, the rebreather, the draggers, and then teach you how to shoot guns. Like, yeah, it just starts to get fun at that point.
So was there a particular moment where you're like, maybe the recruiter fucked me on this? He didn't really give me all the information I should have.
He might have lied.
Oh, yeah, when you first show up there and you walk in, you check in, you're like, Seaman fucking Houin checking in for buds. And you look out in the grinder, because you checked in at the quarterdeck back then, and you see this dude just getting fucking worked. You're like, what? Who are these guys? And like, that's the class in front of you. And you see the helmets lined up. I'm like, what happened to those guys? We're like, they quit. Like, well, what happens then? Like, you don't want to know. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, okay, I guess I'm not quitting, because this big strong dude told me I don't want to know.
19 at this point?
Yeah, I think I turned 19 in buds. Yeah, turned 19 in buds or something like that.
At that time, there's no internet.
I turned 19 A school or something and 20 in buds, but yeah, still a baby.
That's what I was going to say. Cause like I grew up my whole life. Like I remember when I was in like middle school watching like Making the Cut on buds and shit. So like I've known what this is my whole life of like known of it. So I can't imagine walking into that situation, like not having seen a YouTube video about it or just like,
oh yeah, there's no books, there's no nothing. I think the Charlie Sheen movie had come out prior to that, but we watched it in boot camp. It was like the first time I saw it. Like, oh fuck, this is what I signed up for. Hell yeah,
this is
shoot through walls with 50s and stuff. Like,
you think it's all the fun stuff. When I joined basic, I remember going to MEPS, signing in, like swearing in and all that, and they're like, okay, you're going to basic training again, infantry, you don't have a choice, you're going to bidding. Don't know that. The internet's just now becoming a thing, so it's like, okay, you're going to basic training in Fort Benning. I was like, oh no, do you have like Jackson or like, I thought infantry could pick a nicer school. Found out that's not a thing.
I want to go somewhere fun. Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, I knew that. Shipped out. Here we go.
Yeah. But it's funny because like I didn't know shit. Like there was no information out there. There was no Reddit. Like come full circle. My last job was running our pre-buds pipeline up in Chicago. The kids would come from boot camp, come over, and they would be in my house for 8 weeks to learn how to get back in shape and learn mentally and physically, kind of get ready for it. Like there's so much bad information out there on like
what year is this? Sorry.
So I went up there in 2015. So my last 3 years, 2015 and 2018, I was up there running that school. But there's so much bad information. They get there and they start cheating right away, and they're still in the Navy and like
cheating. How do you cheat?
Well, there's no reason to cheat in pre-buds. It's like super simple, right? But anyway, they would like try to cut corners. I had to drop like the worst week I've ever had up there. I dropped 44 kids in one class because they're forging their Navy PQS. Like I know how to clean my room and to clean the barracks so I can go on leave or liberty for the afternoon. Like they can't go on liberty anyways. It doesn't fucking matter why you're cheating. So they got busted. The master chief of the base called me. So I got to call the master chief of Warcom, like my senior E9 that I work for. I'm like, hey, master chief, this is what's going on. He's like, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, well, right now they're not even in NSW yet, right? They haven't gone to buds yet. They're still in the Navy. I'm like, if we were preaching character and integrity, in my right mind, I can't let these guys go. Like it's just not the right thing to do, especially at this level. Like they've been in the Navy for like 4 weeks or whatever. Like if we're letting them go with integrity, like basic integrity shit from here, it's like we can't do it. So it was like fucking miserable, like kicking 44 kids out of this class. I'm like, one by one, I've got to have.
Like how many were in the class?
I was like started with like typical class would start about 200 or so. Okay. And that's the SEALs or the SEAL candidates, the SWIC candidates. We would have a handful of fleet returnees that are going, or maybe a couple of transfer like Marine guys that are going to go to buds. So every enlisted guy that went to buds at that point came through that schoolhouse. So roughly 200 of them. So and typically we only lose like 8 to 10 max on a big class
for pre
buds. Yeah. I mean, the attrition rate for buds is, I don't think it's changed much, like 1% maybe. It's like it's still 80% of the kids aren't making it through.
When you went through versus when you were an instructor, were the class sizes different, or were they always like
smaller? I think we started my first phase with 120-ish, somewhere in that ballpark, and we graduated 22, 21, 22, and 14 of those were the original class that didn't get rolled back. Okay. So now they're starting like 180 to 200. I don't know what it is now, but it's much higher numbers.
When you were rolling those out, what is that like? We'll go back to like,
yeah, we
would love your entire thing because that's what we'll go back to. But with you see it now with like what you went through and how you were treated versus, oh, this is how it's handled now. Do you see a big shift from when you got out? Or is it the same standard kind of?
It's the same standard. I mean, and it's funny because when you go through like Hell Week, it's chaos the whole time. When you're going through it, you're like, oh my God, what the fuck? Like shit's going everywhere. When I go back 20 years later as an instructor or observer, I'm like, it is scripted to the second. Like, okay, we're going to have the guys in the water at this time. It's 52 degrees. The wind is this. They can only be in the water for 68 seconds. It's like down to the second.
Oh, no shit.
As a student going through, and you don't know this, like,
yeah, they can't kill me.
No, well, turns out it can. But
rewind.
Anyway, yeah.
Wasn't there a kid who like recently, a couple of years ago, like had a heart attack or something? Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I mean, for that, there's a whole lot of other shit.
Here, that joke still went over your head.
But no, but
My bad.
for that one, it was that kid had been taking stuff that he shouldn't have been taking, and it was a whole lot of other stuff that was self-induced. And anyway, Navy tried to pin it on some guys, but anyway, it's a big story that I don't want to get in details because I don't really know all the details too much.
Going from like a I'll say pre-internet SEAL to being a instructor post-internet and being popular, do you think that access to information is like hurting or helping the new recruits coming through? Like, do you think you had it better off not knowing anything about what you were getting into, or do you think they have it better off kind of knowing what they're getting into?
I would say yes and no, and this is how I'd say is like, yes, I had it better off because I had no clue I was getting into, and I just sucked it up and did it. Now the kids, like the access to information, like physically and mentally, these guys are fucking way out of my, like I wouldn't even probably classify for a contract now. Like we're getting our average kid coming in at the time was 22, 23, 60 to 70% of them already had a 4-year degree. They understood nutrition. They understood how to work out. Like in the 90s, we were just breaking dudes because we're like, oh, fuck, let's just run faster. If we got to run faster or run farther.
That was when it was like drinking water. Like, that's her.
Yeah, no, he
I was like, oh, that kills people.
Yeah, you show up to Team 4, like, fuck, we're going to party till 4 a.m. and then get up and run for 8 miles or whatever. It's like not smart from how we're, like, longevity standpoint. So I think today's candidates across the military are much smarter, much more capable than we were.
Age of information, it really does.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's just, what we've learned from, like, 9/11, just on longevity of the operator side of it, is, fuck, I would love to have a dietitian and physical therapy. Like, we got it later on, but by that point, I'm already broken.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, rewind 20 years and get that shit when I'm 21. Like, hey, we're going to teach you how to eat and why macronutrient, like all the different pieces are important, and mitochondria, like all this crap is important. That would have been awesome.
Actually building like warriors from the
I
ground.
still would have probably drank the 5 AM, but
Yeah.
I know how to rehydrate, right?
You knew you were making a mistake.
Clearly conscious, making bad decisions, yes.
Our sponsor for this video is PDS Dep, because everything is really expensive right now.
I spent $400 at the grocery store, and I don't even know what I got.
Milk. He got milk.
One milk. You may be in debt right now because the economy is in shambles.
You know what also comes with debt? Stress, anxiety, existential doom.
PDS Debt has a solution for you.
Help is available.
Whether it be medical bills, collections, credit card debt, they have customized options for you.
If you're making payments on your debt and your balance isn't going anywhere, this is the solution for you.
PDS Debt has options that consolidates all of that debt into one low monthly payment.
Everyone with $10,000 or more in eligible debt qualifies, and there's no minimum credit score required.
Save thousands in interest and fees, and pay off your debt in a fraction of the time.
PDS Debt is a top-rated company on Google and has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau.
They're personable. Go check out all the reviews and see how many specifically mention PDS employees by name.
It's incredible.
You can get a free debt analysis right now by going to pdsdebt.com/unsub. It takes 30 seconds. Go to pdsdebt.com/unsub. Go now!
I'm going.
I actually do have a question for you. So my old platoon sergeant from Afghanistan, he was a ranger instructor. Now I'm not comparing ranger school to buds or anything else like that, but he said that after a while, well, he said after a while of doing the job, you could pick the ones that like you were relatively confident were going to be able to get through.
I would say maybe there, but
sometimes it's fun. Like they've actually done it where it's like, it's a toss up because you look at a dude and you're like, I guarantee they were like, oh, he's going to suck at road marching or these things.
Yeah, I sucked at running because I'm fucking a midget.
Dude, same. Like road marching.
Sorry, short people. And can't
road marching can suck a cock at 135 pounds. Like a little Mexican Eli. I was like,
you put these 18-inch legs on a soft sand, I'm just fucking done. Just go start hammering me because I'm not going to pass.
I was like, I'm 6'2", and I'm like stepping it out, just trying to get on the road.
And the tall dudes are like, why don't you just step longer? You're like 7 foot tall, and you're like, cool. It's like 3 steps for one of yours. It's
you're not
weird.
breaking sweat. No, but it's, and I try not to. I mean, every now and you would get some that you can just tell, like character-wise, they don't have it for what we need to do. But yeah, I mean, you'd have these little skinny kids. You're like, there ain't no way he's going to stay warm, and they pass. And then same thing on the other side, like, super motivated high school quarterback, like supreme athlete, doesn't know how to fucking lose at things. So
can I tell a quick story?
Yeah.
Jump in there.
So,
Get in there on the mic, homie.
Sit down. Sit on my lap.
on my lap.
that's ain't fitting it. So a friend of mine in Terry's, for instance, the difference between like the Rangers.
This is Kevin, by the way.
Hey, guys.
Uncle Kev.
Uncle Kev. He touches me.
No, I don't. Move your head. Maybe touch your heart.
He's like, now my hands are uncomfortable.
But the difference
What'd I do with
because most of my career has been working with these guys, and the difference between, let's say, the Rangers or the Whiteside SEALs and the Tier 1 groups, there's a lot of examples of it, but a friend of mine in Terry's, it was on the green side. He was at 39 years old, wounded severely in combat in Iraq. And both arms, like for instance, one arm, 21 surgeries to repair it. So he's almost 40 years old. And so he's on the green side and he wants to deploy again. He's one of a few set of brothers that's ever been in that. And he wanted to go back and deploy, and they were worried about it. And so his deal was, okay, go through Ranger School. And if you can pass that, we'll consider letting you deploy. And so at 40 years old, after like 60 surgeries he had from his wounds, he's got more holes in him than anyone in the history of the green side. He finished first in his class.
God damn.
At Ranger
Mindset.
School.
Yeah.
Yeah. At that age, after those wounds,
Yeah, he's
so
like, "Fuck
3
you."
years of surgery and rehab, and then went back and deployed for a few years before he retired, just
Yeah.
to show he could do it.
Yeah.
And it was like a mental thing for him. And so in asking him, and he's been a friend of mine for
same.
20 years, and he looks like a gay waiter. He doesn't look like some, badass. And, in asking him,
I'm so mad here.
He knows exactly who he's talking about.
he's got a little lisp too, but he is the most badass guy in the world. And he just wanted to do it. He wanted to prove it to himself. And that's what they told him. So it's interesting going from, like elite groups like the Rangers or Whiteside SEALs to the Tier 1 groups. And the difference, out of 100 guys, 1 or 2 can be here. And him, at that age, went and did it and kicked the shit out of everyone, and then goes back and deploys and retires. And it's like, that's how special. And I think it gets lost a lot of times. And we think, oh, Navy SEALs. Navy SEALs, that's awesome. But going from Navy SEALs to the next level, that's just like 1 in 1,000. And, so Terry's humble about it. And Terry's very short and probably couldn't do it now. But
Hell no. I wouldn't want to.
But at his age.
I'd just join the army. It's easier.
But no, like how fucking cool that is. And, and I remember this guy who did this. He told me, he's like, his entire life from T-ball until through Rangers, Special Forces, until his way to the Tier 1 group was like, he was always the best at anything he did, whether it was baseball, football, basketball, like anything athletic, track and field. He was always number one without trying. And he's like always such a badass. And he's like, he told me, he's like, I remember when I went through selection, and then when he was selected and he goes to his group, that the rest of his career he had to try and work hard as hell to be average. And that's just that's those guys. I mean, my entire career has been working with these guys, and they would be great at anything. That's where, you or any of the other guys, it's like you get to know them and everything, and they're brothers in the NFL, or they're brothers in Major League Baseball, or their brother runs Amazon, or whatever the hell it is. It's like, oh, these guys would be successful at anything they did. And I think that's the difference. It's physical and it's also cognitive. But that will I'm not going to quit. And I'll go kick the shit out of all these 22-year-old Army guys that think they want to be Rangers.
Just because you said I couldn't do it.
Yeah, so that's it. So I think it gets lost, and these guys sometimes are too humble. And for me, I want smart kids that are badasses to want to grow up to be Navy SEALs, or I want them to grow up to be in Army Special Forces. Because, it's great, because when you go kill dudes, we want the best dudes to go do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's definitely a mentality.
And so a bunch of your teammates have told me, the Charlie Sheen Navy SEAL movie is what inspired them to become Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Drinking and cocaine, why not?
Well, that settles it for me.
Dude, no, wait, hold on. Wait.
Go ahead.
The simple fact, dude, 40 years old and going through Ranger School after getting fucked up in war. Not that guy.
70
No, dude, I would hands down just be tapping. I'm like, I'm too old.
70 holes.
Dog, no, I'm not waking
Nope,
up. Like,
nope.
and you're starving at 40.
It's got to be something you're bored with, man. Like,
I'll be honest, I'd be mad if I got shot. The 70th one is the worst. You could have stopped at 69 for the memes. It would have been hilarious.
It was also a grenade.
Thank God.
Just a little
We
Belgian.
had
Little
several
ones.
pass-throughs. And
Yeah.
you know, God damn it, Eli, why you put me on podcasts with people like this, man? I was in my chair a couple weeks ago and moved wrong, and I had to like decide between either getting to my truck or calling an ambulance. Okay, like my back just locked up on me in my f***ing chair in my office. It's bullshit. Yeah, it was like right in the middle of my spine, and I was like, oh. I was like trying to reach my phone on the desk, and I couldn't. I was like, oh. It was a not no, and then that.
I'm sold, though. I have a new goal
What is
after
it?
hearing Kevin's speech. So, how old are you?
51.
51. All right, we can do it. So if you don't know, the first time Ethan came on, this is like his 5th appearance at least. The first time he came on, he was going to finish out his 20 years. And on the podcast, I openly said, I'm going to get you to quit your job. And 6 weeks later, he...
I know.
We went through numbers. We did some analytics. He's 4 years out from retiring.
Yeah.
What, are you retiring still?
No. I'm looking at a med board. They want to open up my other hip. They already opened up one in both my knees. I'm like, you know what? I'm used up. I'm going to just walk. I'm good. I'll go make YouTube videos. I'm not that guy. I'm not that 40-year-old, 70 surgeon. Like, no one's going to be like, man, Ethan's badass. And be like, that fat fuck is funny. That's what I'm going to say.
well, you know what's cool too? So this individual, now retired, is a CEO of a company in our industry, which... So he retires from that and then goes on to, he wants to work in the industry. Now he's a CEO of a company that helps those guys to do what they do. So even in that regard, he rose to the top.
Okay, he's built different. I
He's like, I'm not the cream that rises to the top.
I'm not I'm the cream that's curdled at the bottom of the coffee.
I slowly rest.
I know my place in this world,
It's
guys.
like the sediment.
My point is,
Yes.
I reverse recruited him.
True.
We're going to recruit you and get you to join the military again. That sold me on it.
I don't know if I could. I think I might be aged out by now.
They'll make an exception.
Yeah, I was like,
You're on unsub now.
Yeah.
We'll grant us medals. I'll start wearing those things.
You wake up in basic again. You're like, no.
Oh, fuck. I'd
I think we've got a general coming on soon that might be able to wave that gin.
just to get you back in the swing of things, we'll have Eli go up, find you in the middle of the night with a red flashlight and say you got fire guard. Both of them right there.
Yeah.
Do you know how much money I would pay if we could secretly film him going to just a regular Army basic training at like Fort Jackson?
I'll just go to the recruiter and see if he'll sign me up.
At 51? You know how funny that would be?
Play it dumb during all
I don't
the
know if my knees can handle all that short little shuffle run crap they do.
We don't say a thing until week 15 when you actually are on platform and you have your rack with medals on. Dude, he's in his class A showing up to all these privates.
His tridents and shit.
How are you in boot camp with an E9 rack? Let me tell you a little story. You ever hear of blue to green?
What are these tridents?
The drill sergeants don't even have deployment patches. Last night,
Everyone's just like,
He's got chevrons.
they stand up ready to rest. Once they see, they're like,
He walks in, they all just look at each other. We fucked up.
Eddie.
We're yelling at him.
And everyone's terrified of Terry.
it's like undercover boss.
Oh, God, yeah. That would be fun.
Would be so funny.
I love
That would
this
be fun,
idea.
yeah.
It's so good.
Oh, shit.
You're clean shaven. You're like, I fucking hate this.
I'd probably look like a baby. Like, I've had this beard for years. I probably would look young.
You're 35. It's your first time through basic training. You're Navy.
I just made the age cutoff.
Yeah, you're a line cook at Waffle House and just had a divorce. You're looking for a new start.
The judge gave me two options.
Specific, man.
Oddly
Directly
specific.
from the oldest guy in my basic.
Dude, I remember those 35-year-olds in basic. I've said it. Dude, I got the luckiest basic training, period. Joined, we had 40 people, 42. 28 of them were E4s because they were all college grads.
Oh, yeah.
So
Automatic E4s.
and then everyone else was like an E3. So the drill sergeants at the end were like, y'all really squared away. Thank you. That was it. Like, we had a radio since week 3. They would let us walk. I remember going to meds at basic, and they're like, oh, the kill zone. I was like, what's a kill zone? Like, in the middle of the aisle where you can't step. I'm like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, wait, you can walk in the middle of your barracks? I was like, eh? It's like, you guys don't have a radio either? They were looking at us like, what?
Would you guys fuck up?
Yeah, we had no idea, and it was just a wild thing.
Yeah, meanwhile, I'm at Fort Knox, Kentucky with 120 retards, man. Like, I swear we were on Red Cycle the entire time.
Watching other platoon, dude, I was like, oh, why is music playing at 3 in the morning? And you look out, it's like lights are turning on, turning off. It's like, oh, they're playing games up there.
Yeah, they earned something.
Oh, dude. Now, when you did, you were Buds, and then what group did you go with? What team were you in initially?
Yeah, so I graduated Buds, went to SEAL Team 4 back in, so I got there in October 93, I believe it was. Yeah, so Team 4, 2 deployments, South America. Awesome time. Like, South America in the 90s was awesome. Surf, hang out with locals. Dollar was strong, so you could take all your local dude you're training to dinner and drinks, and it was like $30 or whatever. Yeah, so
dude,
yeah, 2 deployments down. I loved South America.
That's where you
I don't know
Kevin.
about now, but probably worth going back there now. Kevin, I'm sure there's something down there we can go kill in Ecuador.
I mean, don't laugh like that.
Animal-wise. Yeah.
That was the look of pirates.
No, it's off the coast of Somalia you're thinking of.
Oh, if Nick was finding out we were going to South Africa. He's like, we're going to Africa next year. And Nick's like, to hunt pirates? I'm like, what?
That is a thing.
Yeah.
I'm aware. That's why I said it.
Yeah.
Kevin, stop nodding.
Kevin's got a vote.
The game kills people.
There we go.
Everbox exclusive.
Disney's going to get mad when I steal the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack.
Just the outfit. You got to have the eyeshadow and the whole thing.
Oh, my
A
God.
6-chamber, 8.6 Blackout, trifold hat.
Oh, shit.
Jesus Christ.
Every time I feel like we've peaked on Unsub, I come back for another episode. It's
Like, nah, we'll fuck that line. We're going to go even further. So you were SEAL Team 4 out the gate, and then you worked up to how many years until where you landed?
So 5 years, and at that point, my enlistment's up. I'm like, okay, get out. I guess I never really thought about making a career of it. And my girlfriend then, my wife now, she's like, well, I'm not.
Still?
Yeah.
Dude, congratulations.
No, it's awesome.
Bro.
Yeah.
That's fucking dope.
She's awesome. But anyway,
That's a
it's like
trooper.
Well, I'm not going anywhere. I was like, well, if you're not going anywhere, I guess I'll go re-enlist. And if I re-enlist, I'm going to try out for this development group thing. She's like, what is it? I'm like, fuck, I don't know. But it's funny because I think I was telling one of the guys earlier, it's like my first and second platoon chief are both from there, but they never really talked about what it was, what they did, anything else. It was just kind of understood that you do your time at Team 4 for your first deployment, and then you try to go to Green Team and keep progressing on. So I, again, no idea what I was really getting into other than that's just the next level to go to. Yeah, so I went to Green Team in 98 and
I love you just like, oh, no, they said it was cool.
yeah, that's where,
Every,
that's where we go.
so far, every step of your career is like, oh.
Internet was on
like,
CD at this point. What do you want to know?
It's fortunate because I didn't really know what to expect, so I had no expectations of what I was getting into. I just showed up and did the work and was, like Kevin was saying, I was average at best in Green Team, but I didn't fuck anything up. No safety violations. I didn't kill anybody, so I made it through.
It was average at being 0.00% of the top.
Yeah. Dude, all the guys like my old first aren't. It was until some of the CAD guys came out. We were training at the other ranch here, and they just came out and they're like, oh, they were fans of the content, shooting. I was like, oh, I think my old first sergeant, he did the long walk, and they're like, who's your first sergeant? I was like, oh, CJ. And they're like, get the fuck out. You know, so I was like, yeah. He was like first sergeant in 9 years. Like he was with range second bat, and then just like sped through everything.
Yeah.
So trained us up and then out. And then when the stories they were telling me, I was like, I did not know that, CJ. That is a different CJ than I knew.
No, it's funny because I did 2 deployments, and this is like pre anything really going on other than, we're doing FID or foreign internal defense, training locals, doing a little bit of like counter drug stuff, but not anything crazy. I'm like, oh, I'm pretty cool. I know what I'm doing. I've been in for 5 years, and then you show up over there, and you're like, your peer group at that point, you're like, oh fuck, this is like the cream of the crop. Like some of the guys I had in my green team were just absolute legends. I'm like, I got to really step up my shit. Like I thought I was cool at Team 4, but like not here.
Always a bigger fish.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I was the youngest guy in the class, so I was the baby.
How old were you at this point?
25.
Okay. How long have you been with your wife?
So we've been married 26 years, I think.
You got kids?
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, you were...
I think. I got you.
Yeah, we're in that ballpark. We're over the 25 here now. Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, you were top of the line everything by the time the internet was around and before anybody even knew what that was. Is there a point where your wife and or your kids like turn around? Wait, hold on. Dad does that?
Well, it just kind of they grew up like that. So my wife, she's from that, well, not from that community, but we started dating when I was at Team 4. So she's just been around SEALs in that community and other girlfriends and wives. So she just understood what was going on. And when 9/11 kicked off, it was a whole different world. Like we didn't have kids at that point. So it was like, hey, I'm going here. I don't know when I'm coming back. And she just got in that cycle, like, hey, every 9 months, Terry's taking off. And then we had our first kid, and I would come home, and I would try to be the best that I could while I'm home, and then I'm gone for 200 days a year or whatever it's going to be from training and deployments and everything else. It's super strong lady and super awesome, and I'm lucky to have her. I mean, we had struggles like everybody else does, but yeah, I think I was lucky because I was gone so much that by the time she got tired of my bullshit, I would leave for a while, and then she'd okay, and come back home, and like come home, and like piss her off again, like, oh, I'm gone again. But
you being home is her deployment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it is. I don't even know where I was going with that, but yeah. So it's. I don't know where that question was, but yeah.
Oh, I just like. I mean, was there ever like? So your wife knew, but I mean, when you started having kids, like, was there a day where one of your kids came home and was like, oh shit, my dad's way cooler than I thought.
Chuck Norris.
No,
Never. Like pirates. Over shit, and they were like, hey, I wonder if my dad could.
Oh, we're gonna get to that.
It's funny because my girls are never impressed. They're like, Dad's dad. Like she knew what I did and my friends and
those poor boyfriends.
Yeah, I was about to say, like,
they
God.
go to school and they're like, we just don't talk about what Dad does. And it was funny because like my daughter, she was probably third grade or whatever. My wife tells the story. She was at school doing something, and it's like, okay, what's your dad do? It's like, well, we don't talk about Dad. And teachers are automatically like, oh, Dad's an asshole. He probably beat the wife and they're divorced or whatever. Like, then she's like, okay, how? And then eventually my daughter's like, Dad's in Iraq killing bad guys or whatever it was. And the teacher's like, oh, okay, we're just not going to ask questions. But it's funny because there's always programs that like, we just don't talk about where Dad goes or when he's gone.
Well, dude, that's what's crazy is a lot of people, like we had, when you guys were both, even when I deployed, it was such different OPSEC versus you didn't get the chance to, you couldn't say when you were deploying at those first year, like first year,
well,
2
with
years.
her I could. The only one was different. Our first Iraq deployment was, so 03, everything kicks off. We forward deploy, our green brothers over there, they're doing a different mission and we're doing the WMD stuff. That was probably the only deployment for like 60 to 90 days to where we didn't call home. The command people would keep them involved, like, hey, the guys are deployed, everybody's fine. Like, they would keep them up to date, but that was probably the only window out of the 26 years that I didn't talk to her at some point, and she didn't really know what was going on. I mean, obviously watched the news. She knew what was going on, but she had no idea like really where we were. But outside of that, it was once a week or once every couple of weeks, like whatever I could. We would call or email. We had emails back then. I'm not that old, but yeah. So it was
signals.
Yeah. So, but it was funny.
ICQ.
I think
ASO, but
yeah, and I think the best thing that she ever did was she never got sucked into the whole wife's network. We call it the Pink Squadron or whatever you want to call it. Like the bitchiness, like, oh, my husband did this, and like she never put up with that bullshit. She's like, hey, she had her friends. She made really good friends with other Navy wives that were not in the command, so she just didn't put up with that bullshit.
What do we call them now?
Saved me a lot of problems.
We call them dependopotamus.
Yeah, dependopotamus is like.
No, my wife's hot, so she.
Yeah, no.
It's that FRG group where you're like,
oh yeah,
you're like,
whole,
yeah.
Yeah.
My wife actively, like every time anything happens at work and like they do mandatory fun, she either A, doesn't show up, or B, she like goes out of her way.
Does the minimum?
Yes,
Like,
goes well. Like she just tries to make it miserable for everybody else there. Like it'll be for the kids, and she'll like go and take all the pizza and just walk away with it. Like fuck the kids. Like, she's like, you make me be here. I don't want to be here.
Get your ass out of here.
Yeah.
Holy shit! It is. When after you got there, after like running, there's so many questions. Like, dude, all the different stuff.
Where do we want to start?
Oh, dude, I just love it. Like, I get so excited with this shit because we don't get to talk about it much. It's like we were talking. I was telling Nick. I was like, again, you were telling about like thermobaric grenades and then AT4
awesome.
thermobaric AT4s. We did not get to discuss
let's
that
hear
last
about
time.
that.
I was like.
I've heard of the CQB AT4.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with.
Yeah,
the
I was on that
thermobaric
podcast too.
AT4.
There's a thermobaric one.
Yeah, that's what I was like, bro, you guys get the coolest fucking weapon platform.
Oh yeah, you want to drop a building quick, launch one of those things through the window, and the game is over. But hey, I mean, that's I was telling somebody it's like poob.
Oh, dude, you missed what's the new one?
Our new merch for the podcast is going to be a cartoon drawing of the AT4, and it's going to say, "I have the talking stick."
I have the talking tube.
Boom. Like the old Australian like marine things. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
You better send me one. Yeah, I mean, you drop a building with an AT4 thermobaric is fucking awesome.
When did you first get introduced to this weapons platform?
That was a big on the breacher side of it. I never got to shoot one.
I don't know. You tell us. We're here for the right. Yeah, either could be right to us.
Yeah, so I never got to shoot one, but some of the other guys did. And that's probably, I was in Iraq when I first saw it, so that's probably mid 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there ballpark. Somebody will fact check and be like, this is when it was invented, but
No one in this community. They're gonna be like, that dude's a hero.
I'm gonna be honest. Knowing this random shit's my job, I've never heard of it.
thermobaric or AT4?
No.
To give you an idea, I did a video on the.
Now you got me questioning. Maybe it was a different rocket.
You let me know if we have to cut that out. But
we can say whatever. Somebody will fact check and maybe. Oh no, that was a Carl.
Did they make a Carl Gustav version of it?
Maybe it was that. I don't know.
do you remember? Have you seen the Hellfire missile that's just kinetic with the katanas in it?
Huh.
They make a Hellfire missile with no ordnance, and it just has 8 katanas that flail out, and it's just direct impact for when you want to hit one dude.
Yeah, like literally like front seat of a car.
One car with no casualties or whatever. It was we killed some big Taliban leader.
Yeah, he was out on his balcony.
Yeah,
and
he would go out on his
Yeah.
balcony every morning to drink coffee and just right on his
Just
balcony.
like a manhole cover.
Mach
Just smacking
1.3.
it.
Literally,
Yep.
yeah.
Razors.
Just
katana
katanas.
blades.
And
Yeah.
I did a video on it, and it was never on Wikipedia or anything. And like 4 days later, it was on Wikipedia. So, thermobaric grenade coming soon to Wikipedia.
ATM.
Oh, sorry.
Thermobaric ATM. They would get it.
Yeah, where's
Yep,
Brian
checks
in it?
out.
Do we need those legalized?
Yeah.
Dude, it's wild, all those different weapon platforms.
Oh, and it's
Uncle Sam goes all in, man. Some of the shit
from
we make.
The shit we started making after 01, when we first got over there, like Predator, like all that ISR shit. We didn't have any of that stuff. 01, 02, 03. It's like, what's in there? Best guess. We'll figure it out.
I know units today that if they got dropped in a foreign country and said, all right, here's a map, you need to figure out where the hell you're going, they would shit their pants.
Oh yeah,
Like-
it's terrible. Well, it's good from the fact that we have that technology and we can leverage it to keep guys as safe as we can. But it's also bad. Like, hey, if the Chinese knock out all our fucking satellites, how are you going to fucking solve the problem?
Over dependence.
That's a wonderful point. I was working with
we train to that now with the guys, so it's
Absolutely.
yeah, it's good.
all of
Shooting
our stuff.
hazmat, bro. I can do that all day. Well, not now. I'd be like, I don't remember.
I was working with an unnamed.
Did you say
360
shoot an
degrees.
ASVAB?
Hazmat.
I swear you said ASVAB. I was going to give you so much shit.
I got a 12.
I remember this. And 1, 2, 3.
Give my mirror. Where's that?
Dude, I hated that shit.
Does it look any different than a normal AT4? Or is it just the round inside that's
Now you
different?
got me questioning. Like, it's a long time ago. I
How do
had
you
a lot of
identify
drinks
the
since then.
difference between the two?
I'm sure there was something on the side that says, "Don't fucking drop this."
Because I know that like the CQB one had like a water charge on the back that would take care of most of the back blast.
You were
is what
learning all
Tyler
this
was
random.
saying.
It
Yeah.
is one of those crazy things because it's like what you guys do. Another random fucking thing. Did you do Halo while you were in? Like,
That's why it's so
is the,
short.
dude. This is the heart. He was
I used
6'5".
to be a lot taller. Yeah.
It is the craziest thing to me is your Halo school. If people do not do a wind tunnel or know the training, and you trained on a wooden board, and it was right.
Yeah, you're like spinning around. Oh, skydiving,
bro. Like this is the only thing I could never understand. It was a wooden board, and they're like, no, higher. Push your dick into arch it, and then they're like, and hook out of a fucking plane.
Yeah.
No,
you figured it out.
Yeah, how the. Because it took me 3 days of tunnel time to figure it out, and I was just slamming against the fucking wall.
He did tummy time. Tummy time, tunnel time, it's fine.
Yeah. This is not tunnel time. They just chuck you out, and you're like, huh?
Yeah, back in the old days, we ended up in, like, so I went through free fall in green team. So we had the tunnels and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I remember the old guys were like, on my little skydive board, like, oh, we're going to do a formation. And they're scrolling around like a little creeper for under your car.
Because winds, it's a lot more difficult than you think.
Yeah, until you get the feel. I mean, once you get the feel of it, then it's
easiest thing in the world.
Then you strap all that shit on. And I'm short and I'm small, so you start strapping all that shit on. I got like little hands sticking out, trying to fly.
Aerodynamics of a bowling ball.
I do.
Doing this year.
Yeah, I'm like, you get little hands in my feet. Hopefully I'm falling straight. I can't tell.
We had, when we did free fall, we were with Clint Trials. Clint was part of, Clint.
Yeah, no, Clint is awesome.
Dude, we were jumping with Clint, and his team was there. So, like, it was his first jump since the incident. Yeah. And I hop in. I finally barely floating, and then Clint is in the tunnel with me. He's like, wow, this is... And Clint don't have no legs, and he's outflying me. Like, I was like, you're cheating, first off. Way easier with no legs.
Yeah, less drag, bitch.
And he's just like, doing twirls. I was like, God damn it, dude. It's the hardest thing in the world. I love that you know Clint.
Oh, he's awesome. Love him. Yeah.
Clint is Clint's supposed to come on too, and that is
that'll be fun.
We'll have you on with Clint too.
Why not? You know, let's just
all the dudes.
Let's get Clint, Marcus Luttrell.
Yeah, when Clint comes on, it's like, hey, what'd you fuck up to lose your legs? What'd you do wrong?
No,
Dude, Clint, when he landed, he like flared too early, so he like had a fall. And then I was like, Cleve, not good. Well, we're gonna do it again. I gotta re-record that. And he's like, fuck you, dude.
So I mean, we got thermobaric grenades, thermobaric AT4s. What other exciting shit did you get exposed to?
Oh man, I mean, all the advancements of like weapon systems and ammunition, like all that stuff was driven from the special operations side. So you name it. Like,
what was? So I mean, you were there for the period you were in. You saw pretty rapid advancement in.
Yeah, I was very lucky on my timing. So I came in the 90s, nothing's going on. Got to learn how to be a SEAL, learn how to do my job well before 9/11 kicked off. So by the time 9/11 kicked off, I'm 9-10 years in the Navy. I already know the job. So now we start adding complexity of, now we're in fucking Afghanistan. We don't have X, Y, and Z, but we're just figured out. Like, stress level was good. And then a bunch of awesome deployments, slowing down, getting into leadership position. And as everything kind of starts slowing down in the world and changing to whatever we got today, it's like, I'm out. Time's up. I'm old.
Like, I'm good.
Yeah, my timing wise is awesome. I got to see the heyday of all that stuff.
Yeah, you got to see.
I got to do my job. Which
you got to
fun.
war as fuck. Like, I mean, initial push. That was there's. I don't get into like dick measuring contests. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was in Afghanistan, but I was in RC South, so I don't mess with people who've been to RC
South,
East.
Yes.
And people who did like initial push into Iraq or Afghanistan. I'm like, nope, you're
South was sporty for a while, depending on where you're at.
I was 10, 11. 10, 11,
yeah.
Yeah, it was more IEDs than direct contact.
Yeah.
There was a lot of IEDs down there. The guys in the East were getting hit like every
like 06, 07, we started really pushing on there. It was fun.
I was part of that big push that Obama did to try and like end the war, where they just threw like, what is it, 15, 20,000 extra troops into Afghanistan. I was part of that.
And
fun.
Yeah. That entire the surge, and you're just fighting. You're like, hey, this is war. Oh,
I got dibs on that one. It's mine.
Yeah. This is not
Were there any new like weapon systems or equipment that you guys had to test out that you just absolutely hated and they were trying to make?
Yeah, were there like that's actually doing,
like the whole SCAR fucking thing was a mess. Luckily, like where we were at, like
Eli loves the SCAR. Talk shit about it. Yeah. I hate it.
They sent us 12 to test, and we broke every single one of them. Then the folding stock, you like whip the stock open, it blows up, and springs go flying. You're like, what the fuck is this thing? Yeah, so like the scar was terrible.
Government just it's government approved.
Yeah, so that was a whole SOCOM project, but we fell under SOCOM, but we didn't have to follow there. So we went the 417 route with H&K, but yeah, outside of that, we had a lot of flexibility on what we used, within the law, right? But yeah, we got to pick stuff.
I got you.
Yeah, we got to pick stuff like the whole 300 blackout was like, hey, we have a problem. We need to solve this. So we go out to industry, and Uncle Kev helped us solve that problem of needing subsonic heavy, because 5.56 subsonic just doesn't work. Right?
You were you part of this conversation where it was like, hey, we have the MP5 SD, we have 9mm, we have all. Can we even say that? Okay, I don't know what we're allowed to talk about.
Apparently you said something wrong.
I know. I was like, wait, can we talk about that? No?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, bleep it. Thankfully,
I think he was trying to take a drink at the same time. Yeah.
But it was so like you had like 5.56, HK 416, 47, whatever, and then SBDs or SDs, and then you have approach with 300 blackout, right?
Yeah,
you
it came from a problem set of needing a very quiet solution to a problem. 5.56 is not there. One of the guys in the office was talking, well, John needs to come down here and do this stuff. Like, talking about history stuff. John knows all this stuff. He built all my guns. Ooh. But
John,
Whisper,
you're welcome on here.
Yeah, so the Whisper stuff.
It was combat development.
Yeah.
He works for us now.
Yeah.
Oh, fine. Kevin's just hiring the best of people. Yeah. That's why I love it.
But it was a problem. We needed a subsonic solution to kill bad guys. The H&K MP5 9mm doesn't really do it. 5.56 you can't slow down enough to be subsonic and still be lethal. So some of the guys were talking about Whisper, and John was talking about this, and it's about the same time Kevin was looking at it, and it just happened to be like the perfect storm of, we have a problem. They're flexible and fast enough to solve this problem, and it gave us the 300 blackout, which everybody in the world has now, right?
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that. It's like, hey, we have an issue, go out to industry and solve it.
How was
they
it?
were never really forced to, like SOCOM tried to force that SCAR on, and they did on the white side guys, but we never had to deal with it.
And then how was that dealing with like the honey badger, essentially, when it was just because we didn't know, the civilian market didn't know for how long?
Yeah, the honey badger went to the green guys. We rebuilt just essentially M4 uppers, or we bought M4 uppers in the 300 blackout, so we just swap it out. Like, hey, I got my recce gun, now I got my 300 blackout upper, or whatever it's going to be, just plug and play.
And as I think you were talking about it, Kevin, it's like you went from an 8-pound, 5-ounce MP5 to a 5.5 ounce.
Yeah. So on the blackout, you could, as a sniper or recce guy up front, you could load top 5 rounds subsonics, and if shit goes south, you just roll right into your supersonics.
And you have a round this fucking.
Is this how people feel when I talk about missiles? Because I'm like, so you guys are the science behind it. Your tism is tickling, and I'm just like,
I'm so happy right now.
Rounds and bullets and subsonic and supersonic. I just
because you're and then what year this is getting developed? Like where you start rolling
it's
like
this 10, 11, something like that.
Have you used it? It's going to take over real fucking quick, and I guarantee
blackout was awesome, especially because like from the National Mission Force, our main job was hostage rescue at sea. So if I'm climbing over the side of a ship and there's 500 people on board, now I've got a 200 grain bullet that's going to go through a person, but it's not going to go through a wall or anything else. I can address an issue up close, not worried about what's necessarily behind it. And having rounds bouncing down the steel hallway like a 5.56 round.
And really extremely loud in those environment, I'm assuming. Not the ear pro days that we have now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, suppressed everything is the way to go now. Yeah.
But still in a steel.
I wish I would have learned about suppressors when I was younger, because my ears suck.
The funny part to me that I'm still hung up on is like, I can't fathom the level of badass you have to be for the United States government to trust you to change the uppers and calibers in different bullets.
They're in a different military.
The average infantryman would never be allowed to
We got this.
change calibers and
Like, knock on wood, I don't think we ever blew up an upper. We can fund some of this development. Like, hey, 5.56 is great for a lot of stuff, but like the old green tip bullets or FMJ bullets just don't fucking work on people. Like, so let's develop a bullet that fits into the gun. Like, we got a 77 grain, like 70 grain, like all these different variations of 5.56 that came out over the years. Like,
the gray
much
tips.
more lethal. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know those were a thing until I was handed a lot of grit. I was like, huh, those are new. Like, thank you.
Yeah. And that's what, came into the short barrel 308 stuff was Iraq. This was 05, 06. We're in and out of vehicles like Panders or Strikers or whatever it is.
And it is literally like, if I can dismount right. Like,
so we've got
mode.
SR-25s, which are awesome guns, but they're long as shit. Like, I can't get in and out of it effectively. I need to still kill people at 500 yards. So we just started chopping barrels. Like John's like, oh, here's a 12-inch barrel. Try that. And
we're not allowed to do that with our.
Yeah. So we went through a bunch of different variations, and then like, okay, the SR, as awesome as it is, it's not going to be that solving that short barrel gas gun 308 that gives me that. Well, what this does now, but back then we were just experimenting, and that led into the 417. The 308s and all the other shit that came out of that.
No,
which bleeds over into the civilian market all the time.
Well, it's going back to the ocean. This is like, what? There was a movie about your stuff. Are you allowed to discuss
our
any of
stuff?
that?
We can hit the high points. So
high points, the high points.
Yeah. So
how was it? Did you like that movie?
I keep saying I got to go back and watch it so we're talking Captain Phillips. So I was part of that. Thankfully I loved it. And like, of my almost 30-year career, there was two missions where we brought Americans home that I was on. Like Captain Phillips one, and then Jessica Lynch was the other one. Like, I was part of both of those.
You were part of Jessica Lynch.
One of like the hundreds of people over there.
Holy shit!
But like,
downplay it.
Like,
one of the hundreds of people
But of all the stuff that we do, that's exactly. But that's exactly why we do our jobs. Like, our job is to bring Americans home, right? Number one, like, kill bad guys are awesome, but if there's a chance to bring an American home, we do that. Yeah, so Captain Phillips, I was forward deployed to Eastern Africa doing some work over there. Small team of guys. And my boss calls me, and I'm in another country away from the rest of the guys doing some work for some 3-letter guys. And my boss calls me. It's like 8 o'clock at night or something. It's like, hey, are you watching the news? I'm like, no, sir. Obviously, I'm not. I'm working at the bar or wherever I was at. So I get back to the hotel, turn the news on. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I call him like, do I got to come back? Like, what's going on? I was like, no, just keep an eye on it. There's nothing we can do at this point. They're just too far out to sea. Fast forward like 5:30 in the morning, phone calls like, we need you back here now. So I don't know if you guys have ever been to Africa, but it's not easy to get from one country to the next.
All the time. It's one of our big. Nick, what's your passport?
Get me your fastest Toyota.
So unlike the movies, there's no black helicopters that are meeting me on the street and flying me to the embassy. So
can I say the movie quote without you murdering me here real quick? Can I say look at you?
Life's like a box of chocolate.
No,
this wrong movie.
You ain't got no legs.
I am the captain now. I just wasn't sure if I was going to.
It's funny because I get that meme every year on my birthday. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, so I got good friends.
I got the chocolate with 300 black.
Hard cut. Like this. He's sleepy. He's all tuckered out over there. What's that liquid sound?
Don't worry about it. It'll be fine.
Anyway, so it takes me like all day to get back to the embassy. Get in there, get the debrief, and luckily the rest of my team, like 6 guys, they're doing the brief. I got my CCT and my PJ guys they're briefing the Bainbridge because we're going to jump in, sit down, do the whole thing, and my boss at this point is like, hey, all we need to do, or your job until everybody else gets there, is just to keep Captain Phillips in the boat out to sea. Don't let him get to shore. Because when they're out there, I have a self-contained little problem in a boat. We know what we have. It's control. It's a little bit of variables, but it's very dealable or doable or whatever you want to call it. English is not my. I need another one.
You were the captain now.
I was like,
Get this man another drink.
Yeah, whatever it is.
I might steal one of your White Claws.
Yeah, fire it up there, senior. But so we get over there, we do the debriefs, we get all the way back across there, jump in the plane, fly the coast, get all our gear, parachutes, guns, all that stuff. We jump in the airplane and we fly out. At this point, it's April. I think it's April. So April in Indian Oceans, there's a lot of thunderstorms. So you skydive for it. So then there's a lot of rules I broke, but one of the rules was in normal military free fall, you have to be able to see the DZ. And when we're jumping into the water, I have to be able to see my ground crew. So we're out there, we're buzzing out, and we are like essentially the max range of what this aircraft will do. Pilot comes on, we do a couple passes. I've got the sensor operators in the back, and they're like, we can hear the guys on radio because we're talking to them. We know they're here somewhere. We just can't see them physically. And then we're doing a pass. Pilot comes on, and is like, hey, we're about bingo on fuel. We probably do another pass, and then we're gonna have to come home. We have no other options. And about that same time, he's telling me that on radio. Clouds break a little bit. I see a wake. Sensor operator slings it over a little bit, and I just see the tail fan of the main bridge. I'm like, fucking, and Matt's on the back. We already got the green light to go because we know we're close. I'm like, go. So we just run out of there as fast as we can to skydive in, and everybody's safe, and we made it to the boat. And
what's the winds and the like? You're saying
we're
you're
like
just
4,500 feet or so. Like we're low.
Oh, it's a low.
It's a hot pop.
It is a fucking pop. Like literally, you're jumping up, you're popping it.
Yeah, go down. So I don't know what the winds.
Okay, just for reference, if you're doing this commercial, you're jumping at like 15 to 20, and you're opening.
Skydiving,
yeah, and you're opening at 5,500. When he's saying you are jumping out and going like this. Okay,
and we're even
1,000,
born with a
2,000.
static line.
What's that?
Was it stat?
Oh,
like,
free
no,
fall.
this is free.
Yeah.
This is 1,000, 2,000
Fucking
pulling.
SEALs, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck. It's not the Marine Corps or the Rangers or any of that shit.
Wow, dude, this is like you're jumping out the back. You're not hitting this. You're hitting the slide in immediate, like,
Yeah.
just 1, 2, wave, pull. Everyone get in formation. Holy shit.
You're jumping.
Terry, where'd you land?
In Indian Ocean. No sharks. No sharks.
Would have landed on the boat. Why didn't you?
Because the boat hurts when you're skydiving. The water is soft. It's wet. I like the wet stuff. The wet stuff is nice.
No. Like I did. Okay, I'm terrified of the ocean because I watch a lot of documentaries. You think middle of the goddamn night in a storm, I'm gonna land in the Indian Ocean? Fuck. How do your balls fit in your pants, sir? Like, man, no, you couldn't catch me. Nope, I just myself. Fuck it. It's not a seal no more. That's not me.
You just run out. You're like,
not doing it, man.
Man,
Yeah, but it's funny because, again, like the rules that we maybe bent a little bit. So I had 2 Army guys that were with me in East Africa, and I chose not to take them, and I get shit for this all the time from the Admiral now and some of the Army guys. And my justification at the time was these guys didn't have all the gear they needed. We were jumping into the water at night. They never jumped into the water at night. They have never jumped into the water, period. Like, it was stacking, and then our parachutes are out of date. Like, there's a lot of like stacking, compounding factors that like.
that sounds so good.
We're bending enough rules that I know the guys I've been training with where we can solve the problem. But now bringing in 2 guys that are unfamiliar with a lot of the stuff and the gear shortage and fluid, like it just wasn't there. So I got a lot of shit for that. But
I mean, it's probably the right call. Like the last thing you want to have to worry about is trying to help some dude get
for what
hurt.
we were doing, the problem we were solving. I had 3 other team guys, I had two other enlisted team guys, a JO that's new to the command, myself, and 2 Air Force guys, CCT and PJ. So like for what we're doing to like just keep the boat from going to the beach, we were fine. Yeah, I get shit from it. But anyway, where I was, so we get picked up, got on the main bridge, and I'm a E7, I think, at this time. And Jonas is no 4, brand new to the command. We climb up, go talk to the captain of the boat, and he's like, okay, senior or chief, what do you want to do? I'm like, well, I don't know. We're going to keep the boat. He's like, how do you want to do it? Like, not realizing what he's asking, he's like, I've been told that you are in command of this boat. So Jonas and we're in command of the 2 naval assets that are there.
So you're the captain now.
I was the captain.
Holy shit!
How the tides have turned.
And I quickly advocated that back to the captain. I'm like, well, what would you do, sir? He's like, I would probably do this. I'm like, that's a pretty good idea. I'll trust your judgment on this.
But it's the most enlisted answer I've ever heard. Hey, bro, what would you do?
Yeah, I'm like, let's fire up the Navy guns. Let's go fuck this thing.
Take the ocean canoe that way.
When with all the other shit going on, and he tells you that, you're like, well, how the fuck do I answer this? I know nothing about a Navy ship other than it floats. And it's gray, and there's a whole lot of miserable motherfuckers.
I'm not that kind of Navy. I don't know.
There's a whole big tuna can full of miserable dudes.
I guess
Yeah.
I'm going to come right now. I'm sorry. You're going to be a meme on Reddit. after
I'm
this
sure.
podcast.
Oh, dude,
It's gonna be
Brett is going to love
Yeah,
it.
good thing I don't go on.
Captain now.
I don't go on Reddit, so it's fine.
No, you think it's not sad? They're going to love you for this. They're going to mean the fuck out of it.
It's not real.
It's not real people either. It's
Say Captain Phillips.
That's the name of the podcast episode, though.
Captain
He's the
Crockett.
captain now.
Yeah, he's the captain now.
Don't even put my picture on the thumbnail. Don't even put me on there.
But anyway, so we commenced to keeping the boat from going to shore and work through. And so and I were talking. I probably shouldn't use names, but
We can bleep it.
well, we lost him in extortion, so it doesn't really matter. Awesome dude, and all those guys are awesome. But off track now. But anyway, so we get up there. We spend the next, I don't know, felt like 3 days like doing it. It was probably like a cycle of darkness, but we got there. It's night. We got the ship. We're moving around. We're essentially playing cat and mouse. It's like I'll use these big ass fucking 8.6 bullets. So this will be good. Can't see it here. Yeah.
So I'll move
So,
that.
like that'll be the lifeboat, and then this will be the big ship. All we're doing is like keeping them pushed out to sea. They would go around us and come back around. We would move the boat around and just like keep them to our. It was a starboard side at that point. Just keep them out to sea. Just keep working around. They would slow down and we would spin back around like this. See it? Is that one of Eli's bottle breacher things?
It's not mine, but.
No, Eli Crane.
Oh, no. Eli,
be.
we actually thought it was Eli Crane's. And Eli was like,
Just a knockoff,
Eli, he's like,
Chinese.
oh, he's out. Dude, Eli also really good.
Yeah.
Dude. Like,
Anyway, we
fucking
kept
love
doing
that
this. Now we're in the daylight. They're getting pissed off. They're out of cot because they chew the cot all the time, and they're out of cot. They're running out of gas. They're getting pissed off, and at the same time, we're talking to our negotiator in New York, the JTTF guys. They're talking to the tribal leadership on the beach, doing all this negotiation. Like, hey, we just want the captain back. I don't give a about the boat or whatever else. You guys can go do whatever you want to do. It's working this, and throughout that course of the day, maybe later that day, like they're out of cot and their batteries are running low on their radios. So we worked through the negotiator, like, hey, let's just resupply you. We don't have cot, but we can bring cigarettes, new batteries, all this shit. They're like, okay, we'll do that. So my team, we dress up in our little blue coveralls, navy, not dungos because they weren't dungos at that point, but little blue coveralls. Shove our shit down in the corners of the boat, and we're just like easing up to the back of the boat because we don't know where Captain Phillips is. This is post him jumping out of the boat, trying to get away at night. So they've got him in there somewhere. We don't know where he's at. So as we pull up, they crack the thing and come out. They're all powdered up. Their eyeballs are all bloodshot. So they open the door. He comes out, get the boat. We're talking to him. We're easing up. And then from my position in the rib, I can see Captain Phillips on the front left side of the boat. He's like rigger taped or flex cuffed to the boat or to the seat. I'm like, okay, perfect. They're not going to untie him to do whatever. So I know wherever we're doing, where he's at. And it was just super sweet because as we go up there and we're talking to those guys, and then we tell the captain, like, hey, Captain, hey, the guys from Virginia Beach are here. And like his demeanor just shifted. Like he understood with all the stress that he was going through, like what that meant. So it's super cool. We did this, pass it off. We fly around. We use the helicopters to kind of keep the boat and all this stuff. That I don't even know if the helicopters were in the movie, but so we launched helicopters to kind of keep them pushed out for a little bit.
I actually don't think the helicopters were.
I've never actually seen the entire movie.
Yeah, so somebody down below just correct us on that on the movie.
Thank you. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification.
Yeah,
if you want to
all
hear
that stuff.
More of Terry.
All that stuff. So anyway, and then later that night, the cavalry shows up. So the other squadron shows up, and it's funny because I know I've been there long enough. I know what's happening. Like they deployed everybody to come do our first at sea hostage rescue. That exactly why we are who we are. And the captain calls me. He's like, "Hey, so how's it going over there?" I give him the debrief. He's like, "Okay, cool." He's like, "What do you need?" I'm like, "Oh." In my back of my mind, I'm like, they're taking over, but I'm going to pull one. I'm like, hey, send me like 6 snipers. I think we got it fairly under control, and we'll be done with this by the morning. He just laughs, and he's like, okay, Terry, that's cool, but we're sending a troop plus, and they're taking. I knew they were, but I was like, I had one shot. I'm going to see if I can stay in charge of this thing. But they came over later that night. We debriefed them, gave them the video, told them exactly what all this stuff, like what's going on. And at this point, my guys have been up for a while. So we're like, okay, let's go. These guys here, they have it. We'll take a nap, whatever else, down our gear. And I don't know how long I'm asleep. Not long, but you get that kind of like, I wonder what the fuck's going on. Go by, and as I'm walking through the little back area, like gear stage, I'm like, I don't see anybody. There's like nobody's in there. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So I just happen to grab my nods and my helmet and my gun. I'm like, just natural, I guess, at this point. Go out to the fantail, and everybody's lined up, and the boat's under tow, and it's dark out, and like I see these guys laying down, and my buddy, he's the troop chief for the sniper guys. Like, oh, perfect timing. Why don't you jump in here with this guy? With 2 guys per. At this point, we'd already pulled one of those guys off that stabbed himself. So we got three pirates, Captain Phillips, boats under tow. It's at night, and like everybody's online. It's like, okay, what are we doing? It's like, well, they're just like playing Papa Weasel. We get 1 up, then 2 up, then 1 will go down, and another one comes. It's just like this whack-a-mole shit. It's like if we ever get them, like all 3. When we left Africa, we jumped in. That was our kind of our ROEs. Like if you can guarantee 100% that you can solve the problem, you guys can solve the problem. So I lay down, and I'm probably not very long there, and it's like all of a sudden, like this guy's up, that guy's up, that guy's up. Everybody checks in, like we're good. And they're like, all right, 3, 2, 1, boom, problem solved. Guys slide for life down in there, rescues Captain Phillips, and the rest is a movie.
Holy Jesus. Fuck,
it's like
dude.
perfect time. Like it's funny because it's funny because
Your
everybody's
entire fan base is just gonna be.
Bro, that is the quietest unsub has been for a long time.
It's funny because I'm like, I just happen to wake up. I'm like, oh, I wonder what the fuck's going on. I better grab my gun just in case for whatever. I'm on a boat. Why do I need my gun? I just happened, luckily, showed up at the right time, and they had a spot.
Just like stretch out.
Oh, you guys
Time
ready
to
for
off
me now?
some pirates.
But everybody there was awesome, and I'll probably get shit because like, oh fuck, we were there. And it's funny because on our side of it, internally to us, like the squadron that shows up never wants to admit that we were there before them. So like all the different stuff is no mention of us or anything else. But
I love how you're so good at your job that you just kind of like casually glossed over the whole 3 shots on 3 different people on a moving boat to another moving boat, and the problem was solved.
Oh, dude,
like,
yesterday.
That's a lot of variables for one shot.
that's what we train for. I mean, we train it, and we learned this over the years. Like we train at such a high level that no matter what happens on target or whatever's going on, it's less than what we train to. So it's like, oh, not really stressful. Like, okay, lasers at fucking night. You got nods, just hold a laser on dude's head. It's like, are you guys ready? Okay, yeah, let's go.
How far of the shot was it? Like,
I mean,
if you had to guesstimate,
I've drank a lot since then, so somewhere in that 50 to 75, maybe.
That's still a damn good shot like that. I mean, at night with, your lasers.
It wasn't mine. It wasn't.
I like how you down. Yesterday you were down, but you look, Kevin, you could hit that. It's like standing pistol shot.
Just offhand, just fucking
left-handed, eyes closed.
Yeah, it wasn't a difficult shot at all, and that's we train that shit all the time. So it's like 3, 2, 1, execute, and done.
Dude, that is the fuck. We can bring up Jessica Little.
It was a 1,000-yard shot.
That's what we're going with.
Look at 2,500 meters there, Canadians.
The wind was 45 miles per hour in a tsunami.
Uphill both ways.
Terry had just left the boat because the wave hit so hard.
I was the captain of the boat.
He
So
exhaled and
I'm steering and shooting at the same time.
Yeah, the gun's on the fucking.
I'm driving the boat, sir. Hold on.
We're gonna have it animated like a nightmare, not the Night Before Christmas with Uncle Scrooge. He's grabbing a candle, but it's Terry with his nods.
Oh God! You make that shirt. Send me one.
Holy shit!
Yeah. But it's awesome because that's exactly what we train to do at the command I was at, and had the opportunity to be there. And I just happened to be lucky enough that I was there
waking up
with my guys,
nap.
and it just happened to be from day one, even before we jumped in. It's like it could have been anybody. I got lucky. It was my team.
Yeah, 100%. You guys made that effort, and then you met Tom Cruise when you saved him.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, Wilson is awesome.
Yeah.
Then he
No, but it was
Then everybody clapped.
It was crazy. And then they made the movie.
life is
invested
like
in a fruit company. He doesn't have to worry about money anymore.
brought a box of chocolates. So it was all good. But it was cool because after all the debrief and everything else, we had to go back to Africa. We jumped back on the Bain Bridge, and then he goes with us because he's got to go back, get debriefed, and then fly home. So I spent the next day or so with him, and he's all wigged out, right? So we're playing Monopoly. I'm like, he's like, oh, it's like just having a conversation, because I know he's fucked up. Like, I've already been on enough deployments. I know like stress level, like where he's at.
Are you like trying to let him get the blue hotels?
I know what PTSD looks like.
That's such a. I'm sorry.
I didn't want to put him in jail.
How did? Okay,
I wasn't gonna run away.
I'm so curious about how that train of thought. Like you watch it, he went through a traumatic experience. Like his life has changed forever. You can tell the dude's fucked up, and you're like, Monopoly.
I'm still letting that motherfucker be the race car. You give me
That is all you get.
No, but all it was is like keep his mind off it and let him just. We're just talking. We're just like two dudes hanging out and talking through, and then my guys would cycle in and spend some time with them, and I got him on the phone with the psych back home and working through some stuff just to. So we get him back. He goes home, and then like 2 months later, we got our Steel Arena, and he shows up with his wife, and I'm there with my wife and my kids, and they all go hang out with Captain Phillips, and we're like old buddy, or where were then? I haven't talked to him since then, but it was cool because he got to come back and meet all the other like community around what we do. What's that? Oh, I thought you said something.
the most horrifying psychologist I've ever met, Terry. Holy shit.
Dude, I am just like, I didn't even know about the Lynch thing. Like,
Yeah.
period.
I'm old. I'm old. I've
You know
been
what's
around a
crazy is
long
I
time.
talked to some guys who were on the other side of that because it was an air defense unit. So I'm an air defender. That's what she was part of. She was part of.
Like some 503rd Logic or what?
Well, it was,
A
they were
logistical group. But
Yeah, they were with one of the air defense units. But one of the guys who teaches at the THAAD schoolhouse was part of her unit and was there. But apparently there was something happened. Obviously that they got off on their own, and everyone else in the convoy went one way, and
kept on going.
and her and everybody else went the other way, and that's how they got ambushed.
Wait, the convoy split?
It split because all the dust kicked up somewhere in
Yeah,
Iraq. He was
something-
telling me about it.
And it's funny because, like, looking back and understanding what happened there, just like the WMDs, right? Like, oh, there's WMDs everywhere, and you go like, where the fuck are they? Same thing with her. Like, there's 400 Fedayeen fucking fighters, and you go to the hospital, and there's remnants of them being there, and there's planting cells and all this stuff, but they weren't there. So we planned for what we knew at the time, not the story that we got. And the same thing with like her getting an accident and people getting killed. And like it's the story that the administration put out with the best knowledge they had at the time was not actually what happened.
What?
And she'll tell. And she went on to I think she was on Andy Stump's podcast and kind of like her perspective, what she knew happened. Vice what was really this is 03. Like we don't have like when we went in there, we went in early. The recce team they flew us in and we're like living in the fucking with the Marines. And this is the first time I ever met a Marine 1-star in the fucking shitty desert of Iraq, sand blowing, living out of a tent underneath a vehicle, like in a junkyard, launching fucking howitzers. We get out of the fucking Humvee and there's a 1-star fucking general there. Like, who the fuck are you? He's like, this is my unit. We're killing dudes.
The hardcore general out there just like, what's up, dog?
I fucking love you guys. I mean, this is awesome. So we go in there early and we base everything for her off of just human. Like we don't have ISR, we don't have SIGINT or any of this stuff. It's like people coming in and saying, hey, I saw this or I saw this. And it's funny. I got to get a picture to her. I don't know her, but because we drove by that room, then when in that podcast, she talked about being in a little building by herself for like 12 hours. We drove by that building because we had heard that something was there. Drove by, there's nothing going on. So we're like, oh, man, that must not be the right one. So I got to get her that picture of that building. But she most likely was there when we drove by herself.
Don't
so we get
tell
her
her
like,
that. Just hide that.
man, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we didn't know anybody.
No, that's what's wild about that time.
For anyone that knows human intelligence, like who's paying
Especially
the
over
bill,
there.
who like especially in Afghanistan, like I don't like you, so I'm going to make up some story about how much of a terrorist you are.
Yeah.
And the agency's going to give me a bunch of money, and my friends are going to come kill you. Like,
Mr. This is very good neighborhood. It's like IEDs everywhere. And you're like,
So it's like very unreliable, and it's like single source, like the worst kind of stuff. So it's like, it doesn't look like anything there. We'll just keep on looking. And that's which led, the doctor kind of led us to the hospital. And it all worked because we hooked them up with the camera, and now we know what's going on.
No shit.
So you made a human ISR. You said you hooked him up with a camera, so like you said, you had a human ISR. Like,
where are you going with this?
It's like, wait, what?
Like, you're a drone now. I just
put this on head.
Jump off the building. Jump off the building, motherfucker. It's not a gay guy with Hamas right now. It's getting airmailed off the building.
I'm sorry that I had to explain that to everyone here. I got a real puzzled look. Just go ahead and cut out how long and awkward that pause was.
No, you were leaving it in because it
leave that in for sure.
Let it stay. You actually, for the podcast, you trained up on a new...
I did.
He was so excited. He was like, what the fuck, Terry's on?
I was so excited.
I'm super pumped to hear what you have to say after Terry's story.
Of course.
It's going to match it. Tell us how many people did you say?
And everyone's just going to fast forward past this part until Terry starts talking again.
I love bombs. They're awesome.
So everyone here, I assume everyone here is familiar with the bat bomb. Right, from World War II that we... you did a video about...
Say you're not.
What would you say, bat bomb?
The bat bomb.
No, fucking...
Okay, so you can teach him because mine's not the bat bomb, but
here we go.
America weaponizes everything. I really love this.
Yeah, I love it.
Dentist in World War II.
Start again.
Today we're talking about the bat bomb for like the fifth time. I didn't know I was like one of the foremost leading experts on this on accident. So in World War II, they had this really unique problem. They had all these different programs trying to develop essentially a weapon of mass destruction at the time. You had the Manhattan Project over here, and then you had this other extracurricular project where we were going to strap napalm bombs to bats.
Oh, fuck, I'm in.
Because the Japanese lived in houses made out of paper and wood. So there was a dentist from Kentucky who was also a part-time inventor. He had previously invented a fried chicken vending machine. Clearly genius.
Why am I first hearing about a fried chicken vending machine?
Bro, I got you.
We were living in the future back then, man. We gotta go back.
25 cents you hit a button. Just falling down.
Like, we have so digressed as a community.
Oh, dude, it's horrible. So he gets this idea of like, this is going to be brilliant. We're going to strap incendiary grenades to bats, and then we're going to drop them off over Japan right before dawn. And the bats are going to go and they're going to roost in attics in any nook and crevice that they can possibly find. And then 2 hours later, the incendiary grenades are going to light up, and it's going to light the whole city on fire and burn that bitch to the ground.
I'm in. Yeah, I like it.
So he writes this down in a letter and sends it to the government. Never would have made it anywhere. But this dude just happened to know FDR's wife. Sends it directly to the First Lady. She gives it to her husband, and her husband forwards the letter to military intelligence. I can't remember the exact quote, but it's something along the lines of him telling his generals, "This is not a madman. I think he's got a perfectly good idea. We should look into it." So they start developing bat bombs. They end up harvesting thousands of Mexican free-tailed bats from a cave right outside of San Antonio. There's just thousands of these motherfuckers because they were the best bats that we could find, apparently. They make a bomb that essentially looks like a large colander that when you drop it, it just kind of like opens up and all the bats fly all over the fucking place. And they go to test it. And
I'm so intrigued right now. This is
how we felt when you were talking.
Yeah. So they go to test it on this airfield out in the middle of the Nevada desert, and the Army is running the program at this point in time, and they drop all these bats off, and they're like, "Bad news, we forgot to take the fuses out of the incendiary bombs." So they almost burned the entire fucking airfield to the ground. They blew up the general's fucking car. So the Army is like, "I'm out. I want nothing to do with this."
But it works. It's like proof of concept, right?
Right. There was one Marine general that heard about it and just fucking showed up uninvited. And he's like, "This is dope." So he assumes control of the program.
I love Marines.
Dude, yeah.
And Like
Outside the crayons are fucking awesome.
I did a whole video on it, but like literally if the Manhattan Project wasn't done in time and we resorted to bat bombs, it would have been like 12 times deadlier than the atomic bomb was, just because it would have, like, we killed more people in incendiary bombings in Japan than the atomic bombs did.
Just think of like the psychological factor on that, like bats flying in with bombs, like the drone stuff now.
Here's the thing, they wouldn't even know it was bats because it was literally just like their
house would just
roost
combust
in the attic, and it would literally just be the whole city or town would burst into flames at dawn.
That is awesome.
Horrifying.
Holy shit, there's a fire everywhere. Everyone's just in terror after that moment.
Yes.
There was a program that actually predated that, and it showed some promise, and this is the one that I found out about.
Oh, no.
And it was called Operation Pigeon, and then it was changed to Operation OrgCon, which stands for Organic Control. What they did, America weaponized everything. We created GPS before GPS. So what they would do is they built a bomb, and the explosive was in the middle of the bomb, but in the nose they would have 1 to 3 pigeons that had 3 pigeons. I was 1 to 3 is what I read.
It's like there was 3.
And they would teach these pigeons. They would show them
One is done.
like a picture of a target, and every time they would see the picture, they would get a grain or something like that.
If they pecked at it, it
So-
would release a pellet.
Yeah, eventually they train these things. One of them would like peck like 10,000 times in 45 minutes. And what they would do is steer the bomb onto target as it was falling out of the air. So they were using pigeons to create glide bombs.
Get the fuck
This is a
out
real
of
thing
here.
America did.
They had the 3 pigeons were averaged out amongst the 3, so they would average out where the pecking was to calculate the best out of the 3. It was literally pigeon democracy on who we were going to fuck with a bomb.
I'm not going back to boot camp, but I want in this program.
It's so
Resurrected. This sounds awesome.
Holy shit,
Off the podcast, and I can get it to Chase, whoever's editing this, like, you can see the video footage. Like, they recorded this of the pigeons pecking at targets. It was, like, actually highly effective.
Yeah, it showed real promise. Like, there was a guy who was a behavioral scientist who like came up with the concept. It was like, no, we can use pigeons, and it was pretty effective. And I didn't get to why they canceled the program. Maybe you did. But they said that it eventually moved on to the Bat Bomb, and then, of course, the Manhattan Project.
I did a video. I forget why they canceled that project. They brought it back after World War II for something else, and then they just microchips caught up, and we went to guidance that way. But
Yeah.
it's really hard to make money off pigeons.
Yeah.
And Mike Tyson was going to be pissed. I mean, it's whatever.
Now,
that was the line. Mike Tyson was mad. We canceled that program.
He was going to hit us, so we'd cancel it.
yeah, so that was the one that I learned about. I was like, we made a pigeon bomb. Like, it was just, I Googled, I got bored, and I was like, weird missiles. And like, all the rest of them I've already talked about. So that was the only one I was like, huh. So then I started Googling pigeon bomb, and I was like, well, let's see what this thing is all about. And yeah, I learned about the pigeon bomb.
Not something you want to do on your work computer.
No. Well, I mean, for me, though, being in the missile space, they'd probably be like, nah, he's doing research, and he's fine. And he's good. Yeah.
Dude, holy shit. I love these are always my favorite. It is like, hey, we're learning all new tech across the board. This is
facts
from you to you to you. I'm just like, holy shit.
If it exists, America either has or will weaponize it at one point in time. Like it's we've tried everything. We've done, I think the last podcast I was on, I was explaining all the things that we've made nuclear. Literally everything you can think of. America's made it nuclear, from artillery to rocket launchers.
Britain made the nuclear chicken-powered landmine.
That one I didn't know about.
Huh?
Yeah, Great Britain made chicken-powered nuclear landmines.
You have to open up way more. I've had a couple
Cold War.
drinks that I have
There's
no
there's a line in the sand.
Terry, do you know about this?
No, I'm not familiar with the foul landmines. Or missiles, or rockets, or bombs, or any of that stuff.
Watch out.
That's
It
a
makes a
fucking
really
dad
big
right
boom.
there.
Yeah, anything bird related, I'm not familiar with.
Well, just so happens I'm an expert on aviation ordnance, apparently. Avian. Yeah, Great Britain was like, I mean, we got to stop the Soviets if they come rolling in with fucking tanks. We made a nuclear landmine. The problem is that the tech is kind of faulty. You know, like we don't just want to, you know, have it short out being cold and wet underground if we bury it and randomly having a nuclear explosion go off. So what the fuck are we going to do? So they came up with a plan. We're just going to dig the holes. We're going to have the landmines there ready. We're going to keep them nice, dry, safe, out of the ground. And then if the Soviets come rolling up, we're going to throw them in the ground, and then they're just going to be on a delay. But it wasn't close enough. Like there was an error possibility that was it was too great. So like we got to figure out a way to keep this warm. And when we can't have like a generator running to have power down there, batteries weren't good enough at the time. So they're like, I mean, what if we just put chickens inside that motherfucker and kept them warm with body heat, and then when the chickens died, the bomb goes off? So they just figured out how long a chicken could survive inside before it suffocated to death and the body went cold, and that was the timer.
That was the
for
trigger
a nuclear
for
landmine.
I'm not sure I'm on board with that one.
Yeah.
That seems a little...
They weren't either. They decided not to do it, but it's in a museum now.
Not with a nuclear landmine. Yeah, that's a little...
It's a giant landmine.
It's all over the incendiary bats. That's fucking awesome. But, yeah.
You draw the line at nuclear chickens.
Nuclear cocks are not what I want to go to.
Are you familiar with the atomic artillery? Atomic Annie?
I think so.
Okay.
The handheld?
Spin me up.
Wait.
Let's spin me up.
Dude, are you a big
that's
fan?
Davy Crockett's the handheld.
The Davy Crockett's the
Yeah.
hand. Do you know the Davy Crockett?
No.
Holy, oh man, dude. Do you like history? Do you like history? Oh, dude. Do you
I'm
know
fascinated by like stuff like this when guys are like deep dive into subjects. And
Have
they're
you
super
listened to
passionate
Fat
about it.
Electrician?
I did just coming
did.
out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you're gonna go through his videos. Like Nick it's one of the few content creators where it's like, we're talking, and you're
hooked.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, 40 to an hour of my life is now locked in.
I'm just gonna come down to Iowa, and we're just gonna like sit and drink
Bring it.
beers and talk fucking bombs or whatever.
I got one of the best trick shot guys in the country 30 minutes from my house. We got a little gun show for Pepperbox. You can come out and you can show us how to shoot. We'll do all kinds of trick shit. You know, Kevin, you can come. Bring all your cool guns. It'll be a great time.
Yeah.
But no, whenever you want. But the Davy Crockett it's a recoilless rifle that
50s or
shot
60s?
a 55-pound atomic warhead, and it was mounted to a Jeep. So the strategy was literally roll up in a Jeep, plant that bitch, fire it, and drive as fast as you can. But the operators realized that they weren't in the safe radius, so they were just like,
that was my question.
We're just going to fire it while moving and keep going the entire
Keep the speed
time.
going?
Yeah. So that's one, but then you have atomic artillery, nuclear artillery, Atomic Annie, and there's videos of it. I mean, it's from 29 miles away, and it hits, and you're like, oh, that wasn't that big, and then the fucking screen just goes white for 4 seconds. It's the biggest explosion you've seen.
She sparked it for it still. I actually took a picture in front of it for him. Yep.
So that was the right one now.
Yes.
My favorite part of that story is they made 3 of them. They fucking lost one for like 30 fucking years. And forgot, or like didn't know where the fuck it was.
Somebody left it off the checklist.
They thought
We'll find it later.
Turnovers like,
I'm gonna just scribble it in. That's
lazy. Somebody 4 on turnover. Like, where's that? I don't know.
I'm not doing hands across Fort Lewis today. We're just gonna say it's good.
Well, they thought the one that was on display was the actual Atomic Annie, which was the only one that was ever actually fired. At some point, somebody got sent out to check the serial numbers, and they didn't fucking match. In like the 80s, like 30 years after it was. Could you imagine being the E4 just on profile for being a shit? Go check the serial numbers on all the shit in the museum, and then they didn't match.
How many times do you think you read that number? Like,
bro, he had to sit there all fucking like. Come over here. There's no way that's not the number, right? Like,
I would have literally just like, yep.
This thing weighs 100 tons. How the f did it get swapped out?
I would have scratched out whatever number scratched out and wrote those bitches in.
This is what it is now.
turnover time. You're in charge.
Not happening on my watch.
There's the Atomic Annie, and then for air defense, we've made air defense missiles because during the Cold War, our theory was that if the Russians had a whole bunch of planes or bombs coming at us, you could just fire one missile. You're good.
Out, yeah.
So we built the Nike Hercules, and then the Nike Zeus, and then the Nike Spartan. Those are all nuclear. And then we built the
Ground
Sprint.
air, right?
Yep, surface to air.
Yep.
And then we also built
All
the Sprint
Nike.
missile. Yeah, they're all Nike. The Sprint missile, which was, America was like, how fast do we want a missile to go? As fast as you can fucking make it. And it did Mach 10 in under 10 seconds in 1964. Like, they had to put explosives on the door on top because they couldn't build a mechanism to open the blast door fast enough to let the missile out. So they just like had C4 and they're just like, we're going to blow the doors open and this missile's gone. Like, it would start glowing as it's going through the air because like it was combusting as it's ripping through the air.
That's awesome.
America builds such cool
I just
shit.
like our solution every time is like explode it to open.
Can we bring the Department of Defense back to like the 60s?
I'm telling you,
Make
we heard-
awesome shit again?
You ever heard about like? Do you know about Operation Chrome Dome?
Oh, I love Operation Chrome Dome. Great one.
Oh, fuck off.
There is some interesting, after Chrome Dome, there is some interesting air defense news that I can actually go over with you guys. Some newer stuff. So we'll jump out of the history and I'll go to some newer stuff. But you do Chrome Dome
Chrome
first.
Dome.
Chrome Dome was literally just they were putting up multiple B-52s for like, was it 15 years?
Yes. I think it was 15 years.
15 years straight. Because
Just constant flight.
Yeah, constant flight, because the theory was like if they launched an intercontinental ballistic missile and they theoretically they have the capability to take out every American airfield, so we're not going to be able to retaliate. So the only logical thing to do is to have multiple B-52s with nuclear ordnance doing hot laps around the entire continental United States and Canada 24/7 for 15 years straight.
Holy shit.
And if they ended up launching nukes, they're like, cool, beeline straight to Russia, return the favor.
Yeah.
That was the plan the entire time. And that's where
Sounds American.
there was multiple times where like a B-52 went down causing a nuclear incident. Like we dropped them in Greenland. We dropped them all over the world. There was one where, God, it was the one that I did with Brandon over, I think it was Greenland or Denmark.
We've had a couple in the United States.
There's
Yeah,
one
we
still off the
dropped them
coast
over
of South Carolina. It was in North Carolina.
North Carolina, but like this, the one that like really fucked up and like people got irradiated, it was really bad, was one of the B-52 pilots like, it's fucking cold in here, I'm just going to open the exhaust vent directly from the engine bay, and caught the upholstery of the cockpit on fire and burned the fucking plane down from the inside, and they had to bail out and ditched nukes in the ocean. And they like weren't supposed to be in that area at the time. And Denmark is like, what the f***, or Greenland, whatever the fuck it was.
I don't know,
They're
one
like,
of
what
those-
the fuck? You're not supposed to be here. And we're like, I mean,
Yeah, we're America.
yeah, but whatever.
Yeah,
What are you going to do about it? Like,
Yeah, do something about
Anyway,
it.
besides the fact, there's nukes over there
yeah.
in the water.
Yeah, mark
They might
this
be-
on the map.
I think the U.S. has lost like,
X there.
like
Doesn't
20
really matter. We weren't supposed to be here.
29
We are.
Yeah.
And we got fucked up.
You can't go there. That's ours.
He
now.
just said, yeah, the U.S. has misplaced 29 nuclear weapons.
I believe it's 29.
That's it.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
Pretty good record
we know
overall.
about-
Yeah.
think about all the other shit we lose.
I mean, there was one that blew up in Arkansas, like not a nuke. Well, this is actually proof to show you how stable nuclear weapons are. The warhead ended up like 700 yards outside the gate of the base when the missile itself, which was liquid state fuel, leaked and then just went off, and it literally just exploded in the ground, blew off the blast door, and then the warhead itself ended up outside the gate of the base. Arkansas, 1974.
Yeah,
We're going to talk about.
Explains a lot about Arkansas, though.
Yeah.
We're going to end up talking about the manhole cover.
Oh God, we are the fastest object known to man.
Dude, I love. Before we get into that, my favorite part was Homeboy tried to do a mathematical breakdown, and then the comments were like, "No, not today. You fucked up X, Y, and Z." And he's like, "Like they didn't account for rotational. Like it's like this is not a true story because if you do it, and then he just accounted for it as like flying like." Actually a dome not spinning.
He did the calculation if it was entering the Earth's atmosphere and not leaving it, which drastically changes it because atmosphere gets weaker as you leave, not stronger. So it like completely inverted the equation. So it was
Very similar
incorrect.
to the movie where how many dicks can you jerk off?
Yeah, do that again.
Let me stand up, although he might kill me.
Silicon Valley. My boy knows the
Silicon
good.
Valley.
Yeah, that's one of the best.
The dick to stroke ratio. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Or what was it?
But have you heard of the fastest manhole cover ever to exist?
No, tell me all about it.
Oh, I'm gonna let Nick. He tells the story way better than I do.
Started again.
I love this
Nick.
because now nobody cares about me. Like,
Oh, everyone
let's
still
just talk
cares
over
about
here.
You're still the captain.
Absolutely.
So, Cold War era,
Nick,
we're
let's
testing
start
out
again.
nukes.
I'm gonna do a reset. Go again.
Today we're talking about the nuclear manhole cover. So basically, there's these scientists, they're doing experiments, and they're doing they're basically dropping nukes in the desert in Nevada, and they're exploding them in the atmosphere. And the people near that area, understandably, were like, hey, what if we didn't detonate nukes 60 miles from my fucking house? You know, I'm kind of concerned for the health reasons. And the government's like, don't worry, we've done the research. You're fine. Hint, they weren't. They're called downwinders. They got paid a lot of money by the government because a lot of them fucking died. But regardless, the government's like, no, you're fine. And they're like, I still don't trust you. And the government's like, fine, we'll quit detonating nukes in the atmosphere. And they're like, and in the desert. And they're like, fine, and in the desert. And in the ocean. Fine, we'll quit detonating nukes in the ocean too. So the government's like, okay, here's the plan. We're not going to lie. We're going to dig a big hole and detonate them underground. What could possibly go wrong? You know, what's better than having a firecracker go off in your hand, having it go off in your closed fist? Fucking what, you know, nothing could possibly happen. So they dig I believe it was 500 feet deep hole, and they took a nuclear warhead, and they wanted to test the safety mechanisms to make sure that they were going to function properly, allegedly. I
think there's a way to test safety without actually.
No, there's not.
Launching a nuclear.
Not at this time frame.
Not back in that day.
Not with
fucking E9s. What the hell, you know?
Not with the budget we got, homie. So they
Privates walk towards the blast. Good.
So they bury this nuke, and then they stick a 2,000-pound slab of concrete on top of it with a hole, and they detonate it, and fucking straight blue flames launch 800 feet into the fucking sky, and they're like, huh, neat. So tomorrow they're like, we should try it again. This time we'll put a manhole cover on top of it.
Let's do it again. This time we're drinking.
Clearly, we left our hand open a little bit too much. We got to make sure it's closed really tight next time. So they go back the next day, same size nuke, and they put a 2,000-pound slab of concrete on top of it again. Then they get a 2,000-pound manhole cover that they bolt to the fucking bedrock to try to contain this blast to get the readings from it. And then, you know, for some reason, for science, they also got a high-speed camera, the best one they could get at the time, pointed it at it. And the nuke went off again. The safety mechanism did not work. And what had happened was, with a nuclear explosion, it gets so hot so fast that it vaporized the concrete instantly and created super hot gas, which rapidly expands, essentially turned the planet into a fucking potato gun, and proceeded to yeet that manhole cover about 155,000 miles an hour. That's the minimum speed, because they only captured the manhole cover in one frame of the high-speed camera. So they were able to do the math on, like, to not be in two frames, it had to have been traveling, I believe it was 155,000 miles an hour.
Let's recreate it.
Mach 1,000.
There's somewhere out there, we've started an intergalactic war, because that manhole
It's
cover,
still going.
yeah,
It's still going.
It's still going somewhere out there in the cosmos.
It's definitely left atmosphere.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that was gone.
There's a debate in science as to
This is
whether
the
or
math
not,
you guys are talking about. Yeah.
America put the first man-made object into outer space being this manhole cover before the USSR did Sputnik.
Yeah.
And they argue over whether or not it burnt up in the atmosphere or not. But
No, fuck no.
You did the math. It was a second to break out of the atmosphere and moving at that speed. And it's like, I don't know if it had enough time to burn up.
Most of it turned into like just a molten slug.
That's got to
what I'm
be
saying.
Going right towards Mars or something.
That's easily Mach 40 or 80, because I mean the Kármán line, which is the notionally agreed upon like edge of space, is 100 kilometers up.
But
So at one
150,000 miles an hour. You're looking at, what was it, 986? What is Mach 1?
Mach is 740 miles an hour, give or take, I think.
Again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. So you have something, and then once it hits the atmosphere, now you have less resistance. That's why the individual that jumped in the highest skydive ever from the free fall was from space. That dude hit up to, it was like 900 miles an hour or something, which terminal velocity for a human, once you stabilize
like
or anything.
120s or something. With the
Yeah.
drag,
Like Homeboy's falling like 800 miles an hour, and he's just like, oh, control him. What's up? like he goes into free spin.
In a spin, yeah.
And he catches himself, and then his speed finally, because he was in no atmosphere.
The same principle with your fake Russian hypersonics. I just want to point that out to you because they don't have a powered descent.
Now let's talk about hypersonics.
So what point do we launch this hunk of molten steel into space? The aliens aren't like, slow down, guys. we're going to come visit real quick, and you guys are starting to get out of hand a little bit.
The amount of UFO sightings that are around nuclear test sites are staggering.
Or is it
a lot?
Like, pay to hunt a pirate. Hey, aliens, pay to come down and watch how stupid the U.S. people are.
They're using those in their atmosphere.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, like, back off there. They'll launch shit at you.
You know it. Like,
retarded.
You know aliens gave us that technology, right? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? It's like
so it's your drunk uncle, like, here's some fireworks.
Yeah, what's the Greek Sisyphus with fire?
Oh,
you know what I mean? It's aliens.
Do it.
Give those monkeys nukes. Just see what fucking happens.
See what happens.
See what they do. Yeah. Holy shit!
Oh, get out of the way. Yeah.
2,000-pound manhole cover.
Traveling at fucking. That's probably as close as to light speed we've ever been.
Yeah, that is
object.
I think the only thing faster is that one of the shuttles we sent out like finally reached its max cruising speed, and it is faster now, but that was like fairly recent.
Oh Jesus! It might be like Voyager or something.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, that was.
Anyways, nuclear-powered anti-air-to-air missiles. I think you were trying to talk about.
So there's the nuclear-powered one, which that was a theory. Yeah, the SLAM.
No, I thought we made that.
I don't think we ever fully built a production model where they have small nuclear blasts as the thrust.
Yep, I've heard of those.
Which was, I mean, it's
that was actually
idea.
the original, like, hey, how do we get an atmosphere faster? This is the way we'll explode spaceships.
That's not the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, are you thinking of that one? Or?
The SLAM missile's the one that's nuclear propelled, and it basically goes up into the atmosphere and just does hot laps around the planet in perpetuity for like 50 fucking years, and then if we ever needed to call it down, it would go down and just smoke whatever we needed.
Same principle as the Chinese DFZF, their hypersonic glide vehicle. They fire it up, it goes however long it needs to be. It stays in orbit perpetually as long as it needs to. And then because it's a hypersonic glide vehicle, it dives and then kind of flattens out at a lower trajectory, similar to a cruise missile profile. And because it's moving so fast, like cruise missiles by and large are usually pretty slow, like 500 miles an hour, like about the speed of a regular like fighter aircraft. But the DFZF hypersonic glide vehicle claims never been detected by any American or NATO sensor, because they don't really test them very often. Claims to be able to travel like nap of the Earth or map of the Earth, whatever you call it, at over Mach 10. So imagine a cruise missile profile, which is hiding on the far side of the planet, because if you think it's flat, your parents are related.
Right now.
So that's why cruise missiles are so dangerous, is they hide on the far side of the curvature of the Earth, or they use mountains, which we call mass terrain, or buildings or whatever, and they sneak up on you that way. That's why cruise missiles are really, really dangerous to air defense systems.
Have you ever done anything on Rapid Dragon?
No, but I know we actually, there's a newer design. You may want to do something. Have you seen the revolver we made for hypersonics? It's in the back of a C-17. Boeing.
Oh, I have seen that.
Yeah, they built a revolver in the back of a C-17 that like a parachute drops, a hypersonic missile drops out, takes off, and then it just rotates another one into place, and that's out of the back of a C-17.
Fuck yeah.
Because America
right there.
Dude, we are so dangerous.
It's like, who wants to fuck with us? I don't know why.
Right
you
now,
hear that? I'm like, huh?
Right now, in like the air defense space, Guam is the most heavily air defended location on Earth. Like anywhere in the world, Guam is it. And I think it's because the U.S. is worried that like China wants Guam. So like there's Aegis ashore there. There's THAAD there. There's
Is it in risk of tipping over?
I have no idea. But we did.
You guys got it. I like it. Yeah.
If you need to explain that joke, it was a congressman.
Sitting congressman. Yeah.
Sitting
Was it
congressman.
Clyburn? I can't remember who it was, but
Said
very well educated.
And what was the question he asked about the Guam, the island?
I think it was because of U.S. forces on Guam. If we staged too many there, it would tip the island over. Yeah.
Islands are floating landmasses. They're just like,
God damn it.
It's not.
That's your
I just like,
There's
this
like
is
a
city
military 4-star general like,
Is that
all right,
real?
where's Ashton Kutcher at?
Yeah, like, am I getting fucking pumped right now?
Dude, that's who you voted for. Yes.
Pull that up because it is literal like a 4-star journal. Like
it was like a Senate hearing or something.
My fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
You're fucking with me, right? This is a retarded question.
No, Congressman, there is no possibility of U.S. forces taking the island over.
Sorry?
Like it's an ice cube. Oh, the ice cube flipped over.
Dude, politicians never cease to impress me with their little. But they also, this is something I found kind of interesting. So they have the Aegis ashore there, and Aegis is hands down. It's Skynet. It is the best air defense system in the world. And I say that knowing I'm a Patriot guy. I mean, Aegis, it's a bad bitch. Like, there's a reason the Houthis aren't defeating it right now. It's in the Red Sea, and it's just, stop it. Fucking keep your missiles down. Like, they're just playing with you at this point. But they took a Mark 41 VLS, the vertical launch system that sits on the Aegis.
One of my favorite vertical launch systems.
It's all the big cells that have the missiles in them, okay?
Yeah. And not quite as sophisticated as the back of a Toyota Land Cruiser.
I'm like, it go bang, I hit forward assist.
Jesus. They
I
took one. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I'd pay money to give him a vampire system.
Vampire, that I'd be all about.
When I get like level 4 cancer and it's gone, fucking load me up. I'm murking everything.
I feel like we could probably cure cancer if we just went to the DOD and asked them to, okay, here's the deal. I need you to make really tiny cruise missiles that'll attack cells that we can inject into people.
My ass is on fire. What the fuck?
No, that's when the DOD comes back. Are the cells brown?
How much oil do the cells have?
Cancer cells get oil.
It's over.
Here comes Halliburton.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
Favorite vertical launch system.
So the Mark 41 VLS, which they have standard missile 2s, 3s, and 6s in, there's no logic to the naming convention because 3s reach further than 6s, which reach further than 2s. It's fucking weird. But they put standard missile 3s in there, and they were able to recently annihilate, quite literally and effectively, and simulated mid-range ballistic missile. And they did this on purpose because Russia fired that mid-range ballistic missile that like hit Kyiv, and Russia's like, we're the best ever. So the U.S. was like, cool, we're going to show you that it's not. And they fired one of those at Guam, and Aegis smoked it 200 miles away from Guam because Aegis is a bad bitch. By the way, Google says Aegis's maximum range is like 173 miles. So I guess that's going to get updated on Google here soon.
Lucky.
Yeah. And then
lucky shot.
What they did also is they took it. It's sitting. It's cool as shit if you see the picture. They took the VLS, and normally they just have it sitting upright, which is how it is on the ships, and they tilted it, which doesn't seem like a big deal until you realize that tilt can probably give it an extra 50 or 60 miles of range, because instead of going up and over, now it's just going over in that direction, which saves a lot of fuel. So we just be doing like that's what Uncle Sam be doing all the time.
That's a dude is more terrifying. How do you feel about like how you see warfare now, where it is drones, and that is where PTSD scary. Is coming from. Is just that sound of
like I
death.
watched that shit on all the different feeds, like Conflict Observer and all this. I'm like, that would be scary. Like just following around, like just stalking you. Like I see you. There's nothing I can fucking do about you. And there's like some 14-year-old Russian that grew up playing video games, just like, fuck you, America, I'm just gonna murder you. There's no value of life. He's just like, oh wow, this is how video games work. I'm gonna do it.
And it's
scary as shit.
It is a complete disconnect because you're not pulling your trigger, you're not doing anything. You have a screen separation.
He's doing exactly what he's been doing since he was 5, playing video games.
Yeah, and it's
there's no emotion. There's like, a screen's a screen, whether it's a video game player or a person. To him, it doesn't matter.
And then the thermal ones are
the
like
scary. The scary part with that is, in theory, like if you were actually gonna like do drone warfare like that on an industrial scale, like if America launched that program, you could literally
China
or anybody, you could literally just like to eliminate that entirely. It's you remember when they did Death by Firing Squad in Ohio, like a couple years back? It was like the last death by firing squad. The dude requested it. But the way they did it was they had 5 shooters with high-powered rifles. They were all going to shoot center mass. One of them had a blank. And they didn't know who it was. That way, all 5 shooters could tell themselves they shot the blank.
Yeah.
It was like when you would originally, when 2 people would pull the electric chair.
Exactly.
It was, hey, one doesn't do it. That way, no one suffers the consequence. It's like, that weighs on me. It is, one of us killed. I don't know who did.
You could literally have 1 drone pilot out of the 50 playing Arma 3, and everybody gets to tell themselves, I'm playing the video game. These aren't real people.
Yeah, it's like the entire
Oh, you ever read Ender's Game?
Exactly.
Yep,
Same concept.
Okay. Yep, same fucking idea. And
If you don't know Ender's Game, it is the entire, spoiler alert, it's like 30 years reading the goddamn book at this point. It is children's soldiers. Like they're going into this military school at the age of 5. They're geniuses. And by the age of 12, they're disconnected from everything. They're working with their unit and they're playing war games, but they're also playing this simulation with ships that they get to maneuver around and fight the enemy in this video game. And they do this for years until the final, like Ender's looking around. He has like all his team, the dragon team around him. And like,
Basically, he feels like he's on the final level.
Yeah, he's literally
simulation.
going into this. This is the final level.
boss
All
fight.
the adults and generals are watching. I gotta pass this fucking test. And it is, okay, we're gonna do this. Oh, fuck, this is the only kid that can do this. Again, he's 12 years old. And finally, he's like, I'll sacrifice all these by pinning one ship in the middle that has this device that will kill everything. All the other ships will protect it, and it will hit the planet, and then this D device will destroy everything around it. It consumes all life, and then they hit it and everything dies, and then the adults are freaking out and the kids are like, we won. Takes a moment. It's like the kids are like, what the fuck's going on? The adults are crying, they're weeping, they're giving the kids hugs. And then he finds out, it's like, hey, those were actually soldiers that you were playing. Those were soldier fighters. Yeah, so that is the moment. It was like you killed all the aliens, but you sacrificed all those people without knowing it because you thought it was a video game at that moment. And that is like, and it hits Ender, and then they have like multiple stories that roll out from that. It is.
Oh, shit.
Great book.
Dude, such a good book.
One of the best
You're
books I've ever read.
Yeah, that kid's like the trauma he goes through, and he doesn't know it. Like he's just a tool for the government, and they don't tell him any of the trauma he does. And then finally, at the end of the book, he's like, "This sucks."
He exterminated an entire other race.
Yeah, Xenocide. And you're like, fuck. Such a good book series.
Ender's Game is good. Ender's Shadow, I personally think is better. That's the second one. It's about Bean. Speaker for the Dead was okay. I wasn't a huge fan, but yeah, the series is pretty good.
Good book. If you haven't, like, it's a good, and it is like a high school book. It hits fucking
but
hard.
It's brutal. Like, don't watch the movie. The movie's ass.
Yeah.
Movies are, most of them, yeah.
About Guam.
Can we tip it over?
Yes.
Guam is the funniest way America's ever taken over a country ever. So I did a video on it. I know you haven't seen it. I'll recap it. If you've already seen the video, sorry. You know how this is going to be worse because I'm drunk this time and I haven't read it in 6 months. So basically, Japan took over Guam from America during World War II. And America goes, way before that. Spanish-American War. Spain is in control of Guam. America enters the Spanish-American War. They send out a bunch of ships to go capture Guam from the Spanish because we're at war with them and we want to capture all the territory like the Philippines. And they send out this massive fleet. They're supposed to go back to the Philippines. Yeah, put a kite on that bitch. We're going to sail across the 7 seas to go fuck people up, right? So this group gets a special mission. They're only supposed to open this letter after they get out to sea. They're like, hey, you're making a detour. You got to go capture Guam and then head to the Philippines and capture it. So they go out, they get to Guam. There's this massive fort. There's supposed to be this entire Spanish armada there that these guys got to go fight. Everybody's pumped. And they get there. It's foggy. They can't see shit. And they're like, they see a ship off in the distance in this fog and they're getting closer. It's a Japanese ship and we're totally friendly with them at the time, so we're like, what the fuck? So they get closer and there's this massive fort that's supposed to have all these cannons, so they just start opening fire on this fort. The fort's not returning fire. The fuck? So they just like kind of sail right into the harbor and the captain's like, drop anchor, I guess. So they drop anchor and they're just chilling. They're like getting boarding parties ready for their whaling boats to sail out to the, and they see what they assume are troops forming up on the beach. They're like, okay, we're going to fight them on land. Get ready, boys. And then these guys hop in canoes and start paddling their ass out to the boat. And they're like, what the fuck is going on? And they get out, and it's a whaling boat that comes out to the ship that has all of their government on it except for the governor. And they're like, hey, what are you guys doing? And they're like, we're at war?
Capturing your island?
And they're like, what? Apparently Spain just fucking didn't tell them that we were at war. And they had no clue. And they're like, they originally came out there to apologize because they thought when they opened up fire on that fort, they thought that they were doing like the fire the cannons as a salute for entering their port. And they're like, oops.
Oops, sorry for that.
Yeah, they're like, sorry, we couldn't return your salute. We don't have any cannons or gunpowder functioning right now. And they're like, oh, but you're like the whole government? And they're like, yeah, pretty much, except for the governor. They're like, cool.
Jump
You're
on
our
the boat.
prisoners now. They held the prisoners. They sent like one guy back with a letter to the governor like, hey, we're running this bitch now.
This is mine.
Yeah. And the governor's like forced to surrender. So then the captain's sitting there like, what the fuck do I do? It's like, I captured this in minutes.
A country.
And, yeah, in like a country. And there's like a couple of Spanish soldiers. There's like 20 Spanish soldiers. They all surrender. They take them. There's like a local militia. And the captain's like, fuck it. The National Guard can go home. I don't give a shit. Just fuck off. And then one of the Spanish soldiers is like, actually, I'm from Guam and I'm part of the militia. And he's like, fuck it. You can go home too. That guy lied. He just kicked out of it and got away.
Yeah.
So he bounces. He goes home. And
No hablo español. Let's go.
There's this one, another boat comes up, and it's like the local merchant tycoon that runs like all the business on the island, and he speaks perfect fucking English. They're like, all right, you're white. What the fuck's the deal? What? Explain yourself. He's like, oh, I'm an elevator operator from Chicago. And they're like, what? He's like, yeah, I married some Guam chick and we moved out here. And now I just kind of like run the business side of the island. And the captain's like, well, what the fuck do we do? And he's like, you know what? And like shit's getting rowdy. Like the sailors were expecting a fight. They didn't get a fight. Now they're like, they're buying monkeys from the locals. They got pet monkeys on the boats and shit, buying bananas and all kinds of crazy shit going on. The captain's like, I got to get to the Philippines to go capture that. And he's like, fuck it, American dude. Congratulations, you're the president now. I gotta go. And he just dips and leaves. And just like the one English dude is apparently running the country now. And we just don't show back up for like 6 months. We show up. They're like, we just showed up to get coal because they were coal burning ships at this point in time. And the captain that's just there to get coal and refuel shows up, and there's like a civil war about to break out between the faction that's now being run by this one ex-American dude who thinks he's in charge and the rest of the people from Guam. And they're like about to have this huge fight. So he comes in and is like, no, the Americans in charge. Take all their guns. All right, we're going to leave again. And just dipped again for another 6 months. It was like a year and a half before they sent out and had like a military commander in charge of this island. So yeah, that's how we got Guam.
That explains a lot about Guam.
But it's still not going to tip over, right?
We're safe now.
Yeah, we took all the monkeys for the counterweight. We're fine. The monkeys are going to counterweight all the soldiers on the other side.
We have monkey ballast.
Holy shit. On that note, we're gonna close this episode out.
Crap, it's been 2 hours. Damn.
Dude, yeah, that was more than 2 hours.
Holy shit.
Dude, Nick, close this out, you beautiful son of a bitch.
I'm Cody.
Today.
You're Cody? You want to say you're donut operator?
Super ugly Cody.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching the Unsubscribed podcast. I have been joined here today by my co-host, Mr. Eli Doubletap, our new friend, Terry, who is, in fact, the captain, my dear friend, Ethan, Mr. Habitual Linecrosser, and I am Nick, the Fat Electrician. Thank you for watching Unsubscribe. Quack bang out.
Terry, where do we find you, you beautiful son of a bitch?
The only thing, and I shouldn't even do it anymore, Instagram, and they've got me so locked. So here's a challenge for your followers. go break fucking Instagram and follow me because I am in the shithole. Lockdown, nobody can find me, all this stuff. So Terry Houin, follow me. Break Instagram, fuck Meta.
We'll put it
That's
up on the screen too.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna need that.
Yeah, and that I'm at Q, I'm at Field Ethos, and just having a ball.
Perfect.
Dude, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Dude, truly thank you.
Yeah.
That was fucking like, very rarely are we just so, again,
I was like,
that was dialed in. I was like,
Usually this place is real rambunctious, and all three of us just, he is the captain. Fucking
shut the fuck up and listen. That's so good. Thank you so much.
Hopefully it was good.
That was
try
great.
not to say anything too crazy that's going to get me shit talking, but whatever.
That was
Killed it.
fucking baller episode.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Love you guys.
Bye.